between 7 and 11 years old. I remember one time going to the Roadster shop. I remember going to Dyer's Superchargers, but I cannot remember where we were, but I know it was in Chicago suburbs, that we were in a shop. And, I'm just a little nugget, little grommet hanging out with my dad, been looking at the cars. And all of a sudden the guy, whose ever shop this was, said, "Your son don't see my watchdog." I was like, "Watchdog?" He goes, "Yeah, it's up there on the heater." The dude had a python in his shop, and it would crawl around the shop, and it was on the heater duct. And I got the hell out of there. But I always ask Chicago hot rod people that someday I'm going to fight. You guys don't know the shop.
No, dude, I've never. Yeah, I don't fuck with snakes. That's
yeah. It was some place that had a snake in their shop.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. Tim Strange is the owner of Strange Motion Rod and Custom out of Lewisburg, Tennessee. Tim purchased his first car, a 55 Chevy 150 sedan, from his great-grandpa when he was 8 years old. By age 16, Tim had already bought, restored, and sold multiple vehicles. In 2014, Tim became the youngest ever to be inducted into the National Rod and Custom Hall of Fame. He was also the host of Spike TV's reality show, Search and Restore. You can check out more at strangemotion.com. You can also find Tim's shop on Facebook and follow Tim on Instagram at Rod Builder. Tim Strange, welcome to Oil and Whiskey.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Glad we could make this happen.
Yeah, we just casually said hi at SEMA, but been a while since we've sat down and hung out and chatted. Since the last Best on RS party was about the last time we hung out.
For legal reasons.
That was a fun night.
That was.
Yeah.
Did you get any attorney letters or anything?
No.
Cease and desist, nothing.
No, a couple of phone calls and a couple of people, but when Josh said he wanted uncensored Tim Strange, and then Phil, always the voice of reason, uncensored Tim Strange, so that got a nightclub at midnight in Las Vegas, and I think we all had a lot of fun that night. So
yeah, we're losing you a little bit, man, on the internet connection here.
Yeah,
down there in
Lewisburg,
Tennessee.
Yeah, you were breaking up.
Yeah, I got a fancy mic because I guess it's easy to do a podcast, so we've got podcast stuff we're starting too. So
sweet. Yeah, it's super easy if we can do it, and I promise you.
Yeah, if the three of us can pull it off, anybody can.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't drink though, so it makes it easier for us. I don't think we could do it without.
I don't think Tim needs to drink. He's already loosened up.
Yeah.
When he wakes up.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why you guys. I think one of you guys said that we need somebody that's not going to be drunk at midnight in Vegas, and that would be me. So, but since I don't drink, I've got to do a lot of cool stuff. I've, got to drive some supercars at a charity event because all the car handlers were drunk. And, I've taken a bunch of our industry buddies home from a bar or two every once in a while at a car show. So I'm always there for the designated driver for the hot rod industry, I guess.
So tell us how it all got started. Tell us about your upbringing here in Illinois, I think, right?
Yeah. I grew up in the part of Illinois where we grew up. We have a cat named Lugnut here that likes to make herself, no matter where the Zoom calls are, she likes to be involved. But I grew up in the Farmerville part of where we don't claim Chicago as part of the state where we grew up. Of course, my dad had show choppers and stuff that he built out of the garage until I was about 7, 8 years old. Then the family of four got too big to ride a Harley. So he got a 57 Chevy, and we built that in the garage. And then he built a 55 Chevy. All of them. The 57 was a gasser with a chain steering wheel, 4 diamond tuck, bucket seats, shag carpet, Kragers, shag carpet on the dash, tunnel ram, velocity stacks, the whole thing. And then he built a 55 Chevy that we took in 81 to Dearborn, Michigan, to the Classic Chevy Convention. And that was actually the first time I ever stayed in a hotel overnight. the country folks went to the big city in Dearborn, Michigan, and we towed that 55 up there all the way behind a 78 Dodge Magnum. And we had so much crap and tools, he loaded the car backwards. And I still remember the Dodge Magnum was like almost dragging the rear bumper. We went 45 mile an hour all the way to Michigan. Then he got a little picture in Super Chevy magazine with his 55. And that's when it kind of, hey, I can do this for a living. And I just always wanted to be in the hot rod industry ever since then.
So what was that first car that your first like heavy hitter? Was it that 54? I always remember you in the early days with that. It's a 54 Chevy, right? The like mauve, purplish, two-tone deal.
Before that, my third car that I drove in high school was a 64 SS Chevelle, and I redid it when I was 18, 19, and actually got runner-up best GM at the Street Machine Nationals and some awards at Super Chevy Indy. It was a non-pro street car. And then I built the tube chassis 54 Chevy that you probably remember. I don't know if you were born yet then, but
oh, yeah. That was mid 90s, right?
Yeah, it was on the cover of Popular Hot Rodding in '93. Then it come out the next year in magazines, and that was kind of the car that got us our start. I was dating my wife, so she'd come to the shop and help me do the upholstery because her mom and stepdad run an awning business, and that's why she kind of turned into doing interior. That was started with a $150 rusty piece of crap. Built all the tube chassis, built all the A-arms because I couldn't afford a cross-member kit back then. It was crossed between custom and pro street, so it was tubbed. Had a big block with Deloros on it, chopped it, hard-topped it, and we put 20,000 miles on that thing as a pro street car when people weren't really driving pro street cars back then.
Damn, so how does a car like that, a project like that come to be? Is that something that you built like for yourself, a shop build to make a name for yourself, or was it customer came to you, or how does something like that get going?
That was totally mine. I was working I started when I was in high school at 16, working for a local body shop that did also Concours and custom Corvette stuff. So I just worked on stuff at home too. And, me and my dad always had a project. We were either putting cab quarters and rockers on an old rusty farm truck square body. I held my first paint gun painted as 55 Firewall when I was 8 years old. Learned to drive a 4-speed that summer too with my dad's vet. The 54 was just something I was working on for quite a few years. I wanted to get it done and get out of the body shop. So when that hit, within 3 months of that thing hitting the magazines, I've been on my own ever since.
I guess a lot of guys' motivation in this industry is build something cool and get out of the body shops.
Yeah. I hope I never have to go back to the collision shops. So
yeah, it's funny to see like you putting that car together that was so out there. I mean, tube chassis, building A-arms, chopping the top, and Phil and I were in the body shop world. I mean, I was a young whippersnapper. I mean, a little later than that, but for us, it was like, I would have never thought or had the skill set to do something like that. Like my mind was like, all right, I got to patch this little spot on the door of a 69 Camaro. I got to go find a scrap hood that I can cut a little piece of sheet metal out of. That's kind of like sort of similar in gauge. And then I'll MIG weld that in, but probably wear like dark sunglasses and look away, as you're giving it the old zap. That's an interesting thing to dive into something that elaborate.
Yeah. And I remember
world.
I remember, growing up on the farm, we learned how to paint, weld, and everything, just part of being a farm kid. And I remember my dad gave me a corner of his machine shed where the tractors and stuff was. And I was working. I built a chassis table myself, and I had it up there, and I was bending some tubing and welding stuff in. And I heard my dad and one of his buddies come in, and he whispered to my dad and says, "How's your son know how to do this?" He goes, "He doesn't. He's just not smart enough to know he's not supposed to." So I think that's what a lot of this is. We were lucky to have a few mentors in our life growing up, but the hot rod world, it's just not being scared to get in there and cut up stuff but don't start over and do it again. But I think we all learned a lot doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's wild to think of it that way. Like you look at everything now, everybody's got endless information at their fingertips. I mean, you can Google just about anything and have the answer in seconds.
Right.
I mean, back then you also got
the part of goes hand in hand with the fact of not being scared or just being too stupid to not know that you're not supposed to do it and just getting after it. But the other part of that is every time you do them, not cheating yourself or thinking that it's the greatest. You gotta realize that, yeah, I got away with that one, but I need to be a little bit better. I need to learn that and get better. And then every single time you do it, you're like, you know, it's so often you see guys that are, whatever it is they're putting out, or they do something like that, and they're just, yeah, that's as good as it needs to be, you know. And you got to make sure you keep pushing and driving, even though you did take the chance to go out and try it.
Yeah, that's probably why I still own that 54 Chevy. We untubbed it and took it back to SEMA and got it in a row of magazines again in like 03 or something like that. And there's still stuff that I didn't redo from when I was building it when I was like 23 years old. It's like, if I ever needed to sell this car, I'd have to get under, you know, redo a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, I mounted the windows that way. What the hell was I thinking? You know, so luckily I've learned a lot since then. But yeah, we still own that same car.
Nice.
So you built that for yourself. You get in a bunch of magazines, you get some awards and stuff. When's the first paying customer? When's things start to roll? It's like, you know what, I can do this and make a living.
Well, I think I'm still trying to figure out if I can do this and make a living after almost 30 years. So I always repeat, one of you guys said that, I think it was Jeremy. It's like, we're just waiting for like the gong to go off, and it's like a reality show we've all been into. You know, you really can't build cars for a living. You know, we're playing this game. So someday, hopefully that we can still do this a little bit longer. But, you know, I was always working on, like, I never really did any collision work on my own. I did like mild restorations for local guys and some street rod sheet metal and painting some guys. The Quad City area in Peoria had a pretty good local rod run scene with pretty good shows. So there was always some local guys, but in that area, everybody's a little bit more conservative. So trying to find the right customer that'll really let us go on stuff, that was hard. So we kept always, I just worked nights and weekends all the time on a project for myself after working on customer cars during the day, and kept, I built, we were doing a car a year for ourselves there at nights and weekends, and along with customer cars. And I don't remember which one, the first one, like customer car, really, I should have done a little bit more prep. We've been trying to look around the walls and stuff, but, I built, I don't know, I bet it was 10 years before I really got something good for a customer that got in a magazine.
When you did that 54 Chevy, was the plan to use that like as your business card to start a hot rod shop to get into the business, or were you just building something cool, taking it to shows, and the rest just kind of happened?
Most definitely wanting to build the shop. I found a notebook when we moved to Tennessee that I was in 7th grade, and I was drawing Strange Motion shop logos, and I knew it. My shop was going to be Strange Motion, and I was going to have a hot rod shop someday. So,
hell yeah! I just found something so weird. I got a ton of stuff stored at my mom's house in the attic, and my kids are always bugging me to get like a look at the stuff, and my mom's always bugging Phil to get his baseball cards out of there. So we go up there, and I'm digging through some old stuff, and amidst like I found some interesting things, like some things we probably can't talk about or shouldn't talk about. But I had a bind, like a 3-ring binder in there, and just like you said, man, I had like basically like a business plan of everything I wanted. And it was probably junior or senior year. And surprisingly enough, I should dig that out, because some of the things like actually were
really, I'm
like, oh, shit, I was smarter back then than I am now, because some of them actually like materialized.
Any sketches or doodles in any of those?
Yeah, there were plenty of sketches. There's a lot of flames, a couple hot rods, some other stuff that, you've seen Superbad, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting to dive into that.
Yeah. A little bit of that.
Yeah.
I
have that same stuff
in our industry.
I have one like that's even cooler. I was home at my dad's here, was going through some stuff. My mom passed away a couple years ago, and he was getting ready to throw something away. And I go, what is that? And he had a yellow folder that was like that, because like he was, always building choppers and bikes and stuff like that before he got into hot rods. Well, then when he was starting to do, like, he just ripped something out of a car magazine, and like there was one that was 77 up to like 80 of stuff that he liked, that he incorporated into his Tri-5 builds that he did. And he gave me that, sketches of him doing interiors. Like when I was 7, 8 years old, And that's one of the coolest things my dad gave me, is just what he was into back then, the wire wheels, and he had, anodized gold center Kragers on his 55, all that stuff is pretty rad to go back and look, and crushed velvet interior and everything like that. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting. You think about it in that way. We've talked about it before on the, death of the magazines and print media and stuff, but what are you going to hand down to your kids now? Like your search history?
Thumb drive.
I'm definitely not handing my search history down to my kids, dude. That is not
I don't think any of us should share our Google search history.
But that's
no, you're right.
It's that's something you don't think about, is the tangible item. Not so much you looking at it, but where does it go? I mean, all those magazines that we've all got, in boxes or on shelves or stuff like that you have to, handle and move.
Sure. Even develop pictures, like you got to hope that you can keep your digital stuff together for that length of time. Like I've got stacks and stacks of pictures that are scattered all over, of hot rod ideas.
Getting pictures developed was like,
that was something.
Yeah, it was something.
Yeah, I've got I'm a magazine and hot rod book collector, like a total nerd. I've got hot rod magazines. I don't have the first ones, but I got clear back to like 49. My great uncle's been giving me all of his magazines, and I got all the little pages of Rod and Customs. But when I used to go to the Street Machine Nationals, I would take like 15 to 20 rolls of film and have it developed, because I just, I'm a hot rod builder, but first I'm a fan of cars and other builders and the history of it. And I'm always following, what somebody else building is, cool. And I tried to prep myself for some stuff. I have so many pictures, and I was like trying to, when you do the pocket dump, I was trying to, but I ran out of time today. I got pictures from the Street Machine Nationals, and the girls would lay beside the cars in their bikinis and everything. Allegedly, I have a picture of Troy from Rad Ride's magenta Chevelle with his wife and his sister laying out in a bikini.
Oh, dude, that's
blackmail right
that
there.
Could be kind of controversial.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why you got to listen
Or
watch.
if you could find that picture and send it to us, then we could put that in right now when everybody's watching.
A little B-roll action going on over there. Sorry, Troy.
Yeah,
he gets enough praise.
Yeah,
you got to knock him down a little bit.
Every now and then you got to take one on the chin.
That's right.
So you're going to Street Machine Nationals. I personally have never been. I've heard stories upon stories about that scene in that era and how wild and crazy it was. What were some of the stuff when you're going there? I mean, obviously it's blowing your mind. You've already got the kind of the bug, like you said, with your dad. And what are some of the builds and stuff and inspiration that you're just like, I like that. I like that. That sucks. I want to build something like that. Or, what's blowing your mind at that point in time?
I think I was 14 years old when I went with my uncle to the Street Machine Nationals the first time. I went one year when I was 15, and me and my cousin slept in the back of a Pinot fun wagon, like a delivery Pinot, before we had our own hot rods. But, growing up, that was the era of course, Scott Sullivan and Rocky Robertson and Dobberton, all that crazy fairgrounds cruisers, the J2000 with that crazy stainless round tube. Rocky Robertson would build a stainless chassis in his garage and polish it, finish all the welds. It's pretty cool that I'm still friends with all these guys today that I looked up to as a kid, that I was usually too scared to even go up and talk to. And now I see Rocky Robertson all the time because he lives like 20 minutes from my niece in Illinois. Mark Grimes's cars, the three superchargers, and the Eurosport, and of course Grimes's Chevelle. I just loved. That's why I built my 54 as like a mix of Pro Street and Customs, because I went to rod runs in the Street Rod Nationals and a lot of custom shows with my great uncle. So I was, met Starbird and Hines and Winfield and all those guys before I even had a driver's license. So I just love customs. And then, of course, me and my buddies would always go to the Street Machine Nationals. But there's still never been a car show like the Street Machine Nationals. That fairgrounds in DeQuoin is still one of the best fairgrounds in the country. The cruising lap, and now it's just a percentage of what it used to be down there, because it was so good guy big back then. There wasn't a million events like there is. You could go 5 different national events on every weekend now. It's almost a flooded market. But the cruising strip was pretty crazy. The wet t-shirt contests uptown at night, the cruising strip. We just park and walk. It was like a Woodstock for hot rods. It's just crazy. I mean, if you did the outer loop, there was the crazy party people out in tents. I mean, I've seen people having sex one time out there in a tent in broad daylight.
That's pretty cool.
It was seriously, it was just like, teenagers and up to 20-some-year-olds, just horsepower and street racing everywhere. And then it just got out of hand. And that one year there was 2 people stabbed in the Walmart parking lot. And so it got so rowdy, the state of Illinois kicked it out and says, you can't have this car show in our state anymore. That's how crazy it was.
You think that could happen again anywhere?
Stabbings in Walmart?
Yeah, totally could happen. Yeah,
that absolutely could. But no, I don't think, like, I was just thinking, like, man, wet T-shirt contest back in like the 80s and 90s.
Every car show, every car show had a wet T-shirt contest.
That's a thing of the past. I mean,
bikini competition? Where
did those go? I feel like there was one day that they're like.
I think it still happens in the mini truck world.
Does it?
Maybe. And of course, Josh was a tuner kid. I did a couple cars for GM early on that were like little tuner cars. So we'd go to the Nopi shows and stuff like that. And those got pretty wild back then today. So
what do you think we can do to the car show circuit now to kind of bring the excitement back? I feel like it's gotten a little bit stale. You do probably more shows than we do. We're probably doing 20, 30 a year. I know you're out there everywhere as well. And
sex intent sounds like a good idea. It's a good place to start.
Yeah, that wet T-shirt contest. So it's easy.
I guess we solved that.
Done. Answered.
I do go to a lot of shows. I do autocross announcing for Good Guys and a couple other series and the Tri-5 Nats. And, it is like a plug and play deal anymore. And every event you can kind of forget, am I in Nashville this week? It's like a tour guy. They get on stage before they sing and they have a look and see what town they're in before they say welcome to Chicago and they're in Kentucky or something. And Good Guys does a great job with their shows, but it's just a plug and play thing. They all kind of look the same. I don't know. The NSRA still has the Street Rod Nationals. All their other shows just aren't that good anymore. Of course, my wife works in the industry. She doesn't do interior anymore. She's the registration manager for the Hot Rod Power Tour, the Roadkill Drag Races, all 6 Holly events. There's going to be maybe 4 more they haven't announced for another series they're going to do. She's involved in the USCA series, and they have a show on MAV TV and the Drive Auto X events. So she actually goes to more events than I do. So each one kind of, you go to the LS Fest. I don't know if you've ever been to that, but it's a zoo. I think they get 80,000 spectators through the gates on a Saturday. And that drag strip's been there in Bowling Green since 57 or 64. And that event for Holly finally has enough, they've had NHRA events there and everything. They finally widened the road getting into that place because of how much LS Fest brings to it.
And maybe the shows still do exist. We just
don't go to the right ones.
Need to quit being antisocial and get out and do some of these. I mean, do a variety. Yeah. See what some of these are all about. I think we're
getting a little bit of a rut.
Yeah,
doing the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, got to get out of our lane a little bit.
I seen Phil a couple of weeks ago out at Dino's Get Down, and that we went out. We gave a memorial award away for our friend Ron Knowles that passed away last Christmas. And so we went out there since that was his last event that he did before he passed. And that event was crazy. I mean, they had 6,100 parking spots, but, the vendors and stuff on that. And they filled that up and had to park stuff across the road on Friday. And that's a Chevy and GMC only truck event. Yes. And they easily had over 5,000 cars. There was 145 vendors. And that was just a cool vibe because they charge for vendors and everything else is free. So he's not making money. A lot of people bitch and complain about the cost to do a show, but it's still a business. How many of us have made a living off of attending a Good Guys shows and promoting a business, meeting a customer, winning an award to promote? So, I mean, I'm happy with paying, you guys do vendor spots. I mean, if it wasn't for NSRA and Good Guys, where would all of our be right now? It would be a lot harder to be where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they definitely give you the venue to make your name. But yeah, Dino's was an awesome show. You guys weren't there, but it was insane. I rolled in at, I think, 11:30 on Friday, and there was a line.
Getting up and getting after it, huh?
Yeah, well, I flew into Arizona and landed.
Early.
I actually got up at 5, got on a 7 o'clock flight. But yeah, rolled into the show.
He's not telling you the whole story. His helicopter landed out in the side lot. Yeah.
No, there was a line of like probably 150, 200 trucks waiting to get in, and they wouldn't let him in because they'd already reached capacity by noon on Friday. And it was just people cruising everywhere, trucks everywhere. And yeah, like you said, super, super niche. It was like a 10-year period basically of mid 60s to mid 80s Chevy only trucks, and they filled the entire Cardinals football stadium parking lot.
Well, there's something to be said about the this is hard to describe, but the counterculture, like it's just for us, that kind of show. And it's like, it's you're all
part of something.
Yeah, you're a part of something, all those guys, and nothing against, any of the bigger organizations. I 100% get it from a business standpoint to make them, to continue to make them more family oriented events and make it a destination, get those spectators, get that gate, get the things for everybody to do. But when you keep doing that and making it more and more mainstream, you start losing some of your hardcore base. That's like, you know what, screw it. It's not about the street rodders anymore. It's not about the hot rodders anymore. They don't have a place for trucks. Then all you're doing is trading, your people, for gate. So it's a finding that balance, I think, to keep it hardcore enough that people want to be a part of it. But,
or just have wet t-shirt contests and then everybody would come.
Yeah.
That's easy.
I know I was blown away by the vendors at that. And like, there had to be 30 to 40 vendors just selling t-shirts with trucks on them. Pretty much the same thing, but just something. It's like, and they were all busy selling stuff. That blew my mind, that how many people's making the stuff, Chevy truck merch stuff. So
I think everyone goes there to stock up on their wardrobe for the year. I know I came home with like probably 6 or 7 new t-shirts.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
Did you get?
I didn't.
No, I didn't
Yeah, I didn't get one at all.
Must have gotten lost in baggage claim.
Sure
Or you just didn't buy them.
That's probably what happened, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah.
So jumping back over to, you're building cars, you're doing that. When did the decision to move to Tennessee? Where did that come from?
Well, it kind of came up kind of quick. We always wanted to get out of the snow of Illinois. My shop was in the middle of nowhere, 18 miles from a town big enough to even have a stoplight. You may not get out. That's how far we were. And so we always had to like, oh man, we want to go get out, and, see all these people that have a heart attack scooping snow. And we just didn't want to be them people. And we always come down. Of course, we're pretty involved in the BMX world and still race, and just got back from the Grand Nationals. Sponsored a team for years with like 30 riders on it, since we don't have our own kids. We always did. We're like the cool aunt and uncle, took BMX kids racing, bought them bikes and frames and trips, and then we didn't have to pay for college and braces and stuff like you guys do with your kids. So we always really liked Nashville, and I volunteered a couple times on the Power Block show for Kevin Tate's truck show, and it turned into me getting a screen test, and it was moving to the suburbs of Franklin. So we thought, what the hell? I had couple customers I weren't real happy with at the time, and I was like, let's move to Tennessee, and kicked a couple cars out of the shop. And so we got moved down here, got moving expenses, stayed in an apartment for about 6 months. That way we found a place for the shop and got going on that show. And it was a part-time. I'd film 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks, finish the build, and then I'd have like almost a month in between the next one. So I was still running back to my shop and doing stuff. So yeah, so the TV show on the Power Block Search and Restore is what actually got us to move to Tennessee 11 years ago. So we're very happy we did that.
Damn. Yeah, it's beautiful down there. So you're just outside Franklin?
Yeah, I'm in Lewisburg. I'm about a half hour out of the city. When we started looking for a shop, Franklin was then and still is ridiculous amount of money to find a decent shop for affordable money. So, of course, everything just keeps coming out of the city, out of Franklin. Now it's in Columbia and coming to Lewisburg, where everything's kind of growing and the prices are going up. So I bought an old Pontiac dealership that the front part was built in 1923. So I have 8,000 square feet for just me down here. So
sweet.
It's kind of nice, and we're close enough to Nashville to run up and do anything. And Columbia is really nice. It's got everything you need there in Columbia, all the body supplies. And Mike Wolf, the picker guy, has a place over there where he does monthly cars and coffees. And there's just a whole circle of hot rod dudes right over there. The Billy Lane, the Choppers Inc. guy, lives over there. Kevin Tate's shop's there. Ian Johnson, that films Four Wheeler TV, he's over there. We got some friends that do nitro cars and Bonneville cars, and yeah, within like a 20-mile radius, it's a really good hot rod scene down. It's kind of hidden, but if you get to know everybody, there's a lot of stuff going on down here.
That's bad. I'd love to be down there. Makes me nervous. I don't see how it would work with Josh being that close to Tennessee, Nashville, ever since Florida Georgia line opened that big bar. I feel like you'd be holding down a spot, at the corner of the bar there, pretty much permanently. But I'd still love it. It's beautiful down there. I do like Tennessee.
Work that in nicely.
Just going to stone me on that.
Is this a record for this podcast to not mention Phil's Miata?
No, we're going to get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
They're trying hard to transition over in this Florida Georgia line shit.
But in Phil's defense, I would take a Miata over a concert ticket for Florida Georgia line any minute.
Yeah, I concur. A lot of transitioning with Florida Georgia line as well, I feel.
And Miatas as well, if you want to go there.
It's getting more traction than that Miata gets. Like literally.
Yeah, I think
it sees nothing but tire smoke.
Almost like a Miata. When I know you guys give a hard time to the dollar program that all the OEMs used to do, but we did that a lot. So it gave my wife a new car to drive every year, and we get another one from Chevy or Ford. But we did a Saturn Sky convertible one time, which is like Miata sized. Can you imagine my big ass sitting in that? I look like Herman Munster in that thing going down the road. I couldn't even sit up all the way with the top up. And if I did, I get bugs in my forehead with the top down. So yeah, I wouldn't fit in the Miata either.
I remember those Saturn Skies. They did some V8 swaps in those things too.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
And the
Still not cool.
one?
Just like just like the Miata. So you've had some time, obviously, since the show. Looking back on it, what's your thoughts? You fond memories as times gone by, or what's your thoughts on doing the TV show?
Yeah, as time goes by, there's more fond memories than the bad stuff. Of course, we did it like normal stupid stuff. 4 weeks to build a car, but again, we took a break for 2 weeks in the middle. Set up the shop again, and we couldn't work on weekends, even though they're going to record all this video and edit it down to 27 minutes or whatever they're using. Yeah, but my show, we worked on volunteers. So each week, and luckily I've been in the industry long enough, so I'd have guys that I knew could work together, work their ass off, and very good at their job. So I'd break it up into weeks. So week 1 was tear down and all the metal work. The next week was body work and everything, and using the bake booth, ridiculous on it. The 1 month, our gas bill on the bake booth was over $8,000. And I kind of got in trouble for that. And I was like, well, you guys are the ones making me do this in 4 weeks. It's only a TV deadline. That's all it is. Because you can't take a year and build a car on TV world. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what to do with all the stuff. The hard part is doing TV when you're all car people and TV people are not car people. From the editors to everything, they know a little bit. But like if the Power Block, my show was the first one actually finishing cars mostly at that time, except Ian would take his to the off-road park. So like one of my other shows, they filmed putting a power window set kit in a door on a Chevelle. If they did it good the first time, that car never got the windows in the other side. It was just a prop car. So we were giving these cars back to people. So it really surprised them on the first couple builds on how many hours that it actually took to do a quality car. Almost every car, I still know where it is, except a couple. Some of them have been in magazines and still win some awards wherever they go. So we did build quality cars, but I had 120 some volunteers over the 32 episodes we did. And, that it was just a lot of fun. We averaged 18-hour days. We worked our ass off. One car, we put 24 actually working days in and put 3,200 man hours into it.
Wow.
So it's ridiculous, but I could get 12 to 15 fresh guys every week. There was times, the volunteers, a dozen dudes staying at the house here. But a lot of them guys, they used it as promoting. They didn't get paid. Some of them guys, had to move their shops because the exposure they got from coming and volunteering on that, hired more people. 3 other guys turned into a TV show. 2 guys ended up on Josh's brother's show, Gas Monkey.
Finally, somebody sees the resemblance.
Yeah, and one guy, Justin Nichols, turned into the Wrench TV show, and bunch of other guys moved on to and did other TV things. So it was really pretty cool. But again, I mean, we had, Ted Dabowski when he was working for Detroit Speed, he was on there. BBT guys came. They spent a week doing metal work. Tom Opoff. I mean, we just had Brandon Cisco. We just had just almost like a who's who of just guys and my buddies just come in to help. So the BBT guys, of course, Pete don't work there anymore. The big guy that used to work there, I call him Wookie.
Yep.
So he got me about 3 meetings up front because, they're all kind of younger guys. So when we got done, even at midnight, they'd go to the bar for a little bit. Well, Pete come in drunk as hell the one day and puked all over in the studio and put production on hold where a lot. That boy pukes a lot.
That's Pete's calling card.
That's Pete.
Yeah, he's puked a lot.
They're up front people that don't understand, the skill level of the BBT boys. And they're like, you need to get better quality of volunteers. And I'm like, well, no, I just need to make sure they're not drunk when they come in. I said, you ain't going to get better dudes than those guys. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And a lot of those guys just came because they wanted to, some of them guys didn't even watch the show afterwards. They just wanted to build cars, and it was always a good story and a give back, some families there was always a major sponsor like World Purple or Loctite or WD-40. So there was, the corporate, on the camera of feel good, give back, and a couple of them started college foundation or college money programs for the kids, sent some kids to Disney World. It was really pretty cool. So it was a lot of work, but the feel good vibe of giving back was really awesome. So it was really easy to get products and stuff because of what the show meant.
And I never knew you were such a philanthropist, Tim. Every time I'm around you, you're just busting my balls. I never see this side of you.
Well, if I didn't give you a hard time, that means I don't like you. So yeah.
Got to make up for all his shit talking.
Yeah.
I guess we need to go a little harder because I've had a few of them that I've held back on. Even when he said there's 12 dudes here at the house, I was going to be like, that's not the first time that's happened. But
I paused when my mind says my wife had fun that week, but yeah, I didn't.
So doing those cars, when you're banging them out, now that the show, sorry.
That was a bad, bad choice of words.
Yeah, that's in poor taste. But so when you're getting these cars done for the show, now that the show's over, I don't know if you could talk about this, but what's the post-show completion like? Because, even in a hot rod shop, when you build a high-end car and the car's done, it's still not really done. There's still some things, you got to work out some kinks, work out some bugs. How does that work? Even if you're piling man hours in, there's still got to be some hiccups or some stuff that's got to be finished right?
The production deadline was the 4th week on Friday. Hopefully before the sun goes down, we had to drive it out of the building. The red 55 wagon that Chad Terhar still owns, which it totally changed his life. He'd met dudes around Seattle, hot rod. So now he works as a fabricator in the J-Rod and custom shop up there in the Seattle area.
Cool.
His brother works for that shop now. So it changed a lot of people's lives I actually got all choked up one year at SEMA on a speaking thing about what this car, I did a car for a guy that was stalled out by another car, which that car turned in to me being at SEMA and meeting the TV guys. And then what that one car in a perfect storm, it was actually, I wrote a story. It was in a hot rod book about stories that people write. And there was a 15-page chapter in the book about this 152 Buick that we built, what turned into all this stuff, which turned into a TV show that helped all those people's lives. And it's a crazy when you get that one person, one perfect customer, what one car can actually do to not only your life, but your people surround you and everything that car touches. It's kind of a weird thing. But to answer your question, the production, one car, that 55, Kyle Hicks did the interior and Ross Johns came down and helped, and the door panels weren't all the way on it, so we had to film low. So they stayed the next day and they got the interior filmed, and we basically kept the car for 2 weeks after the filming was done while we were getting ready to start the next build. And then we put the miles on it. We did the interstate driving, all the pretty shots of all the driving stuff. But I never let a car go back till they had between 400 and 500 miles on them. I remember we had trouble with fuel injection on the very last car. They told me I wasn't getting a season 3, but I kept going back because the car wasn't right to give back to the customer yet. So we kept that one for about 3 weeks and haven't had a guy from the fuel injection company because it was an older system and they were done basically supporting that their new one coming out, but we had the old one, and we had to drive around and save and do all this stuff with the computer tuning, and all the other hosts on that show on the other power block was surprised that I was still there, even though I wasn't getting paid. And I'm like, well, it's my name on this car. It's your studio's name. It's all these buddies. It was, WD-40's name. I'm going to still be in this industry. So I want to make sure the car was right before it went back to these people, not just like, okay, we were done with the TV and move on. I just couldn't do that to the people. And then people still have that car today and they drive it and show it and have a blast with it. So
nice.
It's the biggest thing we've learned in delivering cars is we try to put 500 miles minimum on them before they go out the door, because there's so many things that you find that gremlins pop up that need to just be fine-tuned and finished, that you're not going to hit everything 100% right out of the gate. You got to do some break-in. And
they settle down. Like they stretch in.
You need to beat them into submission.
Yeah.
So the time.
I had one. I built a panel truck for Royal Purple Oil as a promo vehicle, just like a road dog. We did power tour. It wasn't a big show vehicle, but we had it for like 4.5 years for them. And I took it to Texas in the spring because we were going to try to auction it because the contract was up on it. And I'm at the Spring Good Guys show. It's cold as hell down there. And all of a sudden my gauges quit working. Well, after 20,000 miles we put on that thing, I realized I didn't have on the Dakota Digitals, I know you guys use them, I didn't have a true keyed on feed for the key feed. So that it kind of worked all the time until it didn't. And I'm on with Scott Tech at like, those Dakota Digital guys are so awesome. I was like Friday night underneath the dash at like 8:00 in the parking lot, and he's still on the phone with me while he's at home on the couch. And then he's like, send me a picture. And he's like, oh man, you got the feeds wrong. So then it took 20,000 miles for that to show up. Sometimes stuff just shows up in the most inconvenient time. So
yeah, that happened in the 3rd mile that the customer got it. And no matter how many miles you put on it, it would have happened right after the customer got it.
As soon as they start it in the garage the first time. Yeah.
You sent me a car, the gauges doesn't work.
Yeah, I sold Matt my square body, had 12,000 miles on it, drove it across country twice, daily drove it. He gets in the car. The very first thing he does, he goes, oh, let me throw my registration in the glove box. Opens the glove box. The entire glove box latch assembly just disintegrates and goes into 100 pieces. Like, it's 70 years old. It's got 12,000 miles on it. And
What'd you do?
The first thing you touch.
Yeah, Jesus, dude. Like, take it easy. This
is a vintage vehicle. Yeah.
Gotta love it, man.
So after the TV shows, what's the next thing? You're building cars. What cars are you building throughout the TV show? You still got a shop. You still got customers and stuff throughout that, right?
Yeah. We were kind of starting to build around that time. Truck we called Domino, a blue C10 that went to SEMA and was in. That was, everything kind of blurs together after all these years. We unveiled it, did an unveiling. Between, you couldn't unveil a car if there's 3 people. I'm in the middle, and then Ring Brothers and Rad Rides are on each side of me. They've got like $1 million and $2 million car, and here we are with like a $250,000 vehicle. No pressure or nothing next to those guys. So, I don't know how I got into that spot, but we took that truck and it won one of those Gran Turismo awards. It didn't make the final to get in the game like you guys did, but we were doing that about that time and finished it right after the show ended. Always had something going on for myself, but that was the one that I was kind of working on at the same time. And right after that, after the TV there. So
yeah, it was a cool truck. I remember that.
Nice. Good. I think they got invited to be at the truck display for the Grand National Roadster Show. I think it's going in the Royal Purple truck this year. So.
Sweet. You gonna be out there?
I plan to, yeah. I think we're going to drive. I'm friends with actually both of the guys that own those trucks now. The Domino trucks in a collection right down the road that him and his dad have like 400 cars, and we do some work for them. And the other guy that owns the panel truck is a friend in Texas, and I think we're going to drive the panel truck all the way out there, and then it's like 22 hours, and then not clean it up, just put it in there dirty because it's just a display. It's not like they're judging anything. So he wants to put the sign on there, driven all the way from Texas, and leave the bugs and everything all over it.
Nice.
That'd be cool.
Be a good trip.
So you've been in this for a long time. Obviously, we talked about the shows a little bit. the industry as a whole, what do you see that's different now that you like, and what do you see that's different now that you don't like?
What I like, I think I've said that different times I've been on the microphone and interviewing people, and I think it was at Columbus this year, somebody said something about the heyday of hot rodding back in the 50s. And I'm like, you kind of forget that we're kind of in the heyday now, because you used to have to go get a Mustang Crossmember out of a junkyard, and it was hard to source parts. And now you've got all the sheet metal, none of it's perfect. You got to fix some of it, but you can order a sheet metal. You can order a whole Tri-5 Chevy body. You can order a 32 Ford steel body. You can order a 55 Chevy truck. When we were growing up, I joke that I remember, I always, like I've told Jeremy this before, I remember the real Roadster shop, or the first Roadster shop.
Oh, yeah.
They were one of the guys first, along with like TCI and Fat Man, that were building full chassis. There wasn't, but that industry of being able to order a chassis up is mind blowing. When I started doing this 27 years ago, I never thought that you could just order up a chassis from you guys or a couple other guys with an independent 6-piston brake. Hell, there wasn't even 6-piston brakes back then. I don't think they were running them even barely that big on Indy cars. And you think about where we are in this industry, and then you guys walk out and imagine the equipment you guys at your place have plasma cutters and benders, and it's pretty crazy. That's the cool part. But then the other side of the industry is that you can order a chassis and all that. So everything kind of looks the same anymore right now. That's, I think, why I still lean towards customs and stuff with chopped tops. I like stuff different. That's not a bad part of the industry, because again, another good part of the industry is everybody seems to want to get out and drive and enjoy and do the road tours. And I don't think I'd ever want to even build a car for the Riddler. We might build a car for Pomona. We got on the schedule, but I'm just kind of over that. I've done a lot. I've never won the Riddler or AMBR, but I'm over chasing awards. Most of my customers right now, we've got 2 big private collectors we do cars for. They don't really care about the awards. They want to drive them and have fun. And I've had more fun on road trips than I have been hanging out at an indoor show cleaning something with a Q-tip.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I find that the challenge in making them drive and perform, it's almost like you have to put almost the same level of detail into them. It's just functional detail as you do into something that's like a show car, So instead of sitting there concentrating on like polished stainless bolts with custom fasteners, you're like focused in on, well, everything needs to be a grade 8 bolt or something that's corrosion resistant, and it's the same thought process, same level of detail. It's just a little different, different mindset. So it's still
And speaking of hardware, there was a guy, forget who it was. Oh, it was Cornfield Customs or something like that, Ohio. He's doing a Bonneville car for himself, and he put this little tech thing on there, just like how you can get a bolt, and you want the shank to be solid as it goes through both sides of the bracket. That stuff that you guys deal with all the time. And the amount of stupid people that couldn't grasp what he was talking about the shank on one side and the threads, like you just buy a hardware store bolt that don't actually fit your bracket.
Sure.
Oh, it made me really upset with the hot rod world of how many stupid people are out there. I say it's not that the internet makes more stupid people. It's the internet allows you to know how many stupid people are out there. There's still a lot of smart people, but he was trying to help people with the tech things, and there was like 1,000 comments and only 5 people understood what he was getting at. It's very sad.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stupid people out there. I get where you're coming from.
And not this industry.
No,
specific.
no,
It's
just the world.
This world.
Yeah. The internet shows you some, but traveling shows you more, man. As much as you travel, do you not see that in the airports? The airport
Spatial awareness.
The airport.
Everybody's first time flying or in public.
Well, I think that honestly, this is something that we've stumbled upon. Nobody else is talking about. Whatever city that we're traveling into, they round them up and set them free in the airport. That's just like, I'll just hang around here. They're not going to go anywhere because they know they're pretty stupid.
In Phoenix, they hang out at the rental car return place because the line leaving the Good Guy show was an hour long. And as we're getting almost ready on the bus, it's probably a good thing I was waiting 3 people to get on the bus. Otherwise, I probably would have got arrested. But there was people walking out and just cutting in line when they seen a bus coming. And they had no security out there. And this one lady took it upon herself. She says, all these people are waiting and you just cut in line. And the guy goes, it's okay. They can have the next bus. And I was like, oh, man. People like that, the self-entitlement people, I do not get along with very well at all.
You're right. The spatial awareness part, because you could go to an airport, the people movers that they have, you could make that people mover 100 foot wide, and there would still be 100 people standing there, shoulder to shoulder across the whole thing. Nobody can move. Nobody understands left and right movement like you do on a road.
Oh yeah.
If you're in hallways, it's just free space, just to walk wherever I want to walk.
It's a problem. This world's
escalators.
Stopping at the top of escalators.
Dude, stairs, right? Winding stair set. I go to the gym in the morning. It's big wide stair set. Everybody has to apex the corner when they're coming. You know somebody's coming the other way.
Hug the right.
Yeah,
no matter where you're going, hug the right.
Stay in your lane.
You will always be good if you always hug the right.
We're solving a lot of problems here.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, we go down a major rabbit hole with that one.
Well, he said people are stupid, so I agreed. They are.
You did.
So, what show are you going to next? You said talking about going to Pomona, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to run up to PRI for a couple days. We always like to go up for that and come back, and then we're home until the Roadster show. And I haven't looked at my schedule next year yet, so probably going to do Good Guys again, announcing a few of those events, and I do some stuff for another suspension company that runs out in Pennsylvania, and then the Tri-5s, and I do some stuff for the NSRA, Street Rod Nats, and so lucky, pretty cool. And it's kind of a second part-time job, and I get paid to go to car shows. So, they fly me and hotel me and food allowance and pay my rental car, flight, anything I need, and they pay me. So it's not a bad gig to get paid to go to car shows. I'd probably only go to like 3 events a year if I wasn't getting paid to go to them. So
yeah, it's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, really good gig.
What are you working on new and exciting in the shop?
Well, for myself, I still haven't finished the Chevelle that I took last year from me and my dad to SEMA. It was SEMA done. Ran, but haven't really drove it. Need to finish the trunk. John Jackson's trying to offer to help me finish the trunk. Pictures of it. So I need to finish that. I got a 59 Impala. It's actually got one of your guys' chassis underneath of it.
Sweet.
That's some wet sanding and buffing on it. I got a 70 RT Charger that's on the chassis table right now. I got a 54 Buick that's getting an LS and fake nailhead in it. I got an Econoline truck that's been in here for a while. I got a little touch up for the big collection down the road for the family. And what else I got in there? If there's still I got a 7442 W30 Olds, kind of mild Pro Tour, mostly restored car going on in there. I have way too many projects in there. So.
And you're working by yourself?
Yeah. I'm a one-man shop, but you're not a one-man builder. You got all these other people. I got Ricky Burks that comes in from down Alabama. He lives down by Greenings actually, and wires everything for Paul Atkins, and he comes up here and wires. My buddy Chris Robinson comes in, does all my stereos and helps me with some of the mechanical stuff. And I got a couple other part-time guys, different guys that sheet metal work or need help or mechanic or scraping, but I don't really have a part-time guy that can come and help do body work or wet sand and buff. It's hard to find that. So yeah, you don't build everything. I used to build my motors. You get a crate motor and a transmission from Bowlers and the rear end gear and all that stuff. So you're not doing it all yourself. My wife for 15 years did the upholstery here. She don't do that. I mentioned earlier what she does now, but actually when I got the Trendsetter back, I guess 20 years ago now, they said her and got her on the stage, and our trophy says Tim and Carrie Strange. So technically she's the only female that's won the Trendsetter with me back then.
Nice.
Because she was doing interiors for other people too that got, finalists for some of the big awards at Good Guys and stuff. So she's kind of over that interior now. So.
That's awesome.
Hey, you got a lot of good interior shops down in your neck of the woods, though.
Oh man, it's tough. We've been trying to get, even we got one on the chassis table and trying to get it booked, and all the good guys down here, some of them aren't taking any bookings, or they're a year and a half out. So if anybody wants to be in the industry and stay busy, maybe open an upholstery shop. So we're lucky. We got some good ones down through Tennessee and Alabama and everything, but it's hard to get
anybody that's good is busy. That's for sure.
In anything, whether you're a painter, a body man, a builder, or everything. Right now, I think we're pretty lucky in this industry that anybody good is busy. So I say if somebody can get you in real quick, they're either a new young guy, or maybe there's a reason they're not busy.
Yeah. So after Christmas, guy comes stumbling in your shop and says, "Tim, I got a boatload of money, right? And I don't have any idea what I want to build. Build me something." What do you build?
Like a car that I've always wanted to build, like talk into this guy, whatever. It would probably be a custom lead sled. I would love
Buick,
to do one.
Mercury, what?
I like Buicks. I actually have a 40 Merc right out there in the barn behind the house that I've been gathering a bunch of parts for. I'd like to build that for somebody. I've got some artwork for some crazy kind of contemporary modern customs. I would love to, I would try to talk the guy in if he had a lot of money and an open mind. I have a couple stalled projects for myself. I got, it's like a weird concept car. Like, what if Harley Earl and Bill Mitchell built a concept car together before Harley Earl retired? I'm a huge history and Autorama, GM design concept car stuff fan. And I've started, it's like a mix of Impala and Tri-5 Chevy stuff that I actually had artwork. We almost built it for a customer years ago. They were going to do it like super modern, billet wheels, billet grills. But of course, in our world, the guy that runs the hot rod shop can't afford the car for himself that he gets to build for customers. So if I finish it for myself, it's going to be white walls, bias ply tires. It'll be like it was a Motorama concept car, satin black chassis and all that. So I would try to talk him into that car is what I would do. So then I posted today on my social media that I used to build like a lot of round tube chassis stuff. No offense to the Roadster Shop chassis, but I would love to get a customer to let me build another round tube street chassis. I just love that, but nobody wants to do that anymore because you can buy one of your chassis for a lot less and it's ready to go, in a few months instead of building all that round tubing and tubing notching and everything. And I did one underneath a Ford Falcon years ago and smoothed the whole thing. And my fingers still hate me for that, but I would love to build another tube chassis car for somebody.
So when you do one of those and you smooth all the welds, you prime it, you paint it, you dress that thing out, there's got to be at least one weld or a dry spot that you completely missed? Because those damn tubes, you get the layers and there's
always going to be one.
Yeah.
No,
maybe you didn't miss welding it, but you sure missed finger swiping it, sanding it, or there's just
painted a lot of race cars and stock car chassis back in the day and drag race shit. And you could put 2 coats of epoxy and sealer, 3-4 coats of base, a few coats of clear and go back. And then all of a sudden, how is that spot still absolutely bare metal? It doesn't make no sense at all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to get around those tubes. Back when we were doing the street rod stuff, it was before we were powder coating chassis, so you'd body work them all and paint them, and same thing. You get these elaborate tubular center cross members. It's always tough to make your way around this.
And it's usually the one glaring spot that you're going
on the
to
bottom.
See. Yeah, that's
not on the body side. It's always on the ground side. So is there? We talked about the car build that you would do if it was unlimited budget. Is there an achievement or a milestone or something that you have not reached yet that you would like to reach, if whether it be an award or a thing or whatever that you haven't done yet?
I wouldn't mind doing a car, which we got artwork and for our customer that has 3 cars in here right now. We might do a car for Pomona. And it's a car that I've had artwork done for quite a few years on. And actually, we almost built it for Mr. Poteet about 15 years ago, and then we didn't. So it's a zinger. I'd really like to build that car and go to Pomona. It's not that I would be upset if we didn't win the Roadster show. I just think it would be cool to have one of the 12 cars on display in the Roadster building. We've taken custom cars out there and went to Sacramento. Again, I'm a custom guy at heart, probably, and a Tri-5 guy. So I'd really like to take a good custom back to Sacramento for America's Most Beautiful Custom Award. I'd really like to do that.
You ever thought of
there's the cat again.
You ever thought of doing like combining some of the great things that have been done with Tri-5s, like combine a shorty Tri-5 with a custom?
Nope.
No, never thought about that.
Nope.
Probably tough to get the roof line right.
Yeah, we have
something like that.
Of course, we do that. I help with the Tri-5 show, and that's an amazing show. They do in Bowling Green, almost 3,000 Tri-5 Chevys. They run it kind of like Alloway was running Shades of the Past with. We do some industry awards. I do best hot rod, but they do a top 25 and put them on display, then the 5, and then the car of the year type of thing, and billet awards and everything. And like the first year, this guy, he pulls up and he pays extra to get into trailer parking because he wants his trailer close to a show car, so he pays for a racer pit pass so he can get there. And he's like, "Man, when do we start judging these cars?" And I don't like to hurt people's feelings because everybody likes different, blondes, brunette. Some people even like Florida Georgia line, whatever you're into. And so this was his dream car, and it was a shorty with like Kragers that I think the chrome was peeling on. And I'm building a car. Well, I forgot about that. I'm building a real life Hot Wheels car in the shop too, so it's got Kragers 5 spokes and red line tires on it because it's a Hot Wheels car.
Nothing wrong with Kragers.
Yeah, and but this car was a shorty that not only was it a shorty, it was a bad shorty, and he thought he just like pretty much hand me my car of the year trophy. Yeah, he was just like full of confidence. So I liked his style, but
just not the style.
You didn't tell him it sucked.
No, I wanted to tell him that the trailer had a better shot of winning.
What's the deal with the shorties?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Being a Tri-5 guy,
I'm wondering if it's not like, how people chop like a Model A. You chop a Model A coupe and it like you take 4 inches out of it, and for the most part, it pretty much comes right down together. Maybe one pie cut.
You think that somebody found this is an easy? This is an easy mod.
I'm wondering. I have never done one, but I wonder if you take there's probably a set number.
Yep, and everything lines right back up.
2 feet, and that thing just you can fuse it.
Tim, being a Tri-5 guy, you got to know that you're a history buff as well. What's the story on the shorty?
I don't know what that is, but I kind of, you were talking about building a dream car. My messed up sense of humor is I think like if I had unlimited money, like if I won the lottery, I would build the most messed up thing ever and then do like a big SEMA unveiling with like thousands of people and everything. And it'd be like, Tim has lost his
just a mic drop.
Like Brian Stepsky was always he's a designer we work with, does all of our shirts, and he's designed a lot of stuff for people that don't know, like Ring Brothers and Rad Rides and stuff like that used to use Stepsky on a lot of their big heavy hitter cars. And he was always trying to get Troy. He's like, you need to build your normal hot rod, but put like a 78 Eldorado interior in it. The big couch recliner stuff. And he says, and Troy's like, no, I don't think so. He goes, dude, if you did that 3 years later, there'd be 10 other ones that SEMA. Troy did it. It had to be cool.
Right.
He just couldn't. I think it would be funny to build something like that. But I don't even buy lottery tickets. Maybe I should start.
I got to get to the bottom of the shorty though.
Dude, talk
Chad.
to who you get. You got to talk
Chad
to
was huge in them.
Murray Pfaff. He built the shorty and did like pretty well with it. He perfected.
That's not you can't put Murray's little car in with a Tri-5 shorty.
Well,
is it not a shorty?
But it's a shorter car.
It's a shorty caddy.
It's cool though. I like it.
Is it a caddy? It's a Buick, isn't it?
It's a caddy, I think.
No, I think we got to ask Mishler. He's the
Chrysler.
expert of those.
Oh, it's a Chrysler.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, we're both wrong.
Yeah. Dial up Mishler. He'd tell you exactly what model that Chrysler was.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
Oh, what a weird thing to be smart at.
Chrysler.
I love you, Josh, but very odd.
You ever meet Josh's grandpa though? He was the one that taught Josh all that. He was the raddest old ornery guy and big Mopar guy. Yeah, his grandpa was super rad.
We do a thing called taking shots. We're probably going to do that later. We take a couple shots and then we go back and forth with the guests and stuff. I want to have Josh on there because what we've always said Josh's daily driver is.
Yep.
It's
the original Chrysler LeBaron Woody.
The K car.
Oh.
Oh, no, I was going to the Baron Woody.
I was thinking the Woody K car.
There was a time Mishler wanted to be the next Foose, and when I've known him since, he was writing a young guys article for Good Guys when I don't even think he had his driver's license yet. I know he was still in high school, and we did our Riviera clear back in 2001 that did very well in a bunch of magazines and everything, and he did the artwork for it, and it was in Custom Rodder. They put it, and then we had he did our 53 Buick he did the artwork for, and I was just helping him out and get it. High school kid gets a couple artist renderings in the front of Custom Rodder. And now I show it to him. He goes, I'm going to break into your shop and burn those. He said, don't show anybody. But he designed a really rad 56 Buick Speedster thing with a lean back windshield that I'd still like to build that car that me and him designed when he was still in high school. And that car would still hit today.
That's cool. Excuse me. Sorry. Favorite car movie and why?
There's a lot of stuff. After working in TV stuff and turning down a lot of TV offers, Hollywood usually fucks shit. I don't think there's much more stuff they're going to redo the Bullet movie, man. I hope they don't screw that up, but they're going to.
The Bullet movie? Sorry, you're breaking.
Yeah, they're supposed to redo the Bullet movie, and Hollywood's going to screw that up probably.
That's got Channing Tatum written all over it.
Dude, who's going to be cooler than Steve McQueen?
I think it was
Mark
the one
Wahlberg.
dude from Hangover supposed to be Bradley Cooper's supposed to be in it, I think. Yeah.
He's all right.
Vin Diesel's going to jump the Charger into space. And then
if I was involved in Hollywood, they would get Dax Shepard to be the new guy.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he's a car dude too.
Yeah, with working at the Power Block, we got to meet a lot of people. And he came in to promote. I forget the movie, but he was driving a Lincoln Slabside. That him and his wife was in the same movie, and he brought that car in, and all of us TV car guys are busting his balls about being a stunt. Who's your stunt driver and everything? And dude, that was his legit car that he spec'd together. That guy's a real hot rodder. So I was really impressed of all the people I met. He was pretty rad for a Hollywood car guy. Yeah. But I would say, actually, I rewatched here recently Hollywood Nights and American Graffiti, but I'm going to go to the old standby American Graffiti almost every Saturday night when I'd have to be home by midnight from cruising when I lived in school at home. I'd probably put American Graffiti in almost every week and watch part of it before I fell asleep on the couch. And, I've met some of them people from American Graffiti where they do appearances at shows. And I bought Milner's breakfast one time in Pomona. We were at Denny's and he was at the other table getting ready. He was going to do an appearance at the Roadster show. So I told the waiter, I was like, give me that ticket. I'm buying Milner's breakfast. So I got to meet him that day. So I bought John Milner's breakfast. So I'm going to go with American Graffiti.
So if you have the choice, you get Milner's Coupe or Falfa's 55, what are you taking?
55, hands down.
What about Crew Jones's bike?
Oh,
I seen Crew Jones's bike last weekend. We were at the BMX Hall of Fame Museum, so I actually stood right by Crew Jones's bike from the movie. So
that's pretty cool.
Right. So
I'm even a bigger nerd history BMX guy than I am a hot rod guy, probably. So,
but you're a Tri-5 guy. Falfa's 55 versus the 2-lane blacktop 55.
Well, of course, in real life they were the same car, but I would take the one with paint on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't like the 2-lane blacktop car. Blows the doors off of Falfa though, all day long.
Yeah, on a race, yes, but I like the Falfa car. My first car was a 55 150, just like Falfa's was, with no chrome on it anywhere. I still want to build a car with chrome reverse wheels on it. I'd love to build Falfa's car in a different color, about 1.5 foot lower.
Yeah, it is a bit.
And a shorty.
No, I might drive around and my wife say, ain't he neat?
Shut up, baby. You're a weird broad.
Because Milner's car is a famous car, but as 32s goes, it's not a pretty 32 with the weird fenders and the grill shell that's like 6 inches too short.
Yeah. I'm still doing tons of hot rods. We did plenty of 32 stuff. I mean, not tons and tons of traditional stuff, but I love traditional hot rods. There's still part of me that wants that exact car.
If I had, even with the weird stuff.
Yeah, if I had unlimited funds, I would have like a perfect replica of that.
years ago, I would have told you you're crazy. Like that, absolutely not. But as I'm getting, you appreciate that weirdness and the nostalgic of like, yeah, absolutely, exactly like it was in the movie.
Yeah, I still think street rods are going to come back a little stronger. I have hope for that. So
you think
we
so?
almost did a TV show that was going to be called Street Rods Ain't Dead. We were really close. We were like one sponsor away from getting that to go, and it was just going to be a street rod show.
Well, that's interesting you brought it up. I mean, I know we're kind of wrapping up, but what do you think brings them back? Because
generational, it's tough.
It's generational. It's tough. Traditionally, the way they have been built, and to your point earlier, how people wanting to use them in a different way, that's not the best build to be using them to go on road tours and cross-country trips and stuff like that. And then, unfortunately, the shows themselves have gone the direction of the masses, and there's not really clear-cut awards for that build anyway. So that everything's stacked against it, and I'm not disagreeing. I think there's some cool-ass street rods out there. But what brings it back?
I think when you build that Wild Rods 37 sedan delivery that
OZ,
you wanted to do.
that's OZ.
Yeah, I thought it was the pickup.
Then it comes back.
I know.
Exactly.
I know. There's one for sale if you want to research it. Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody that like our era anyway, we grew up wanting, our uncles and our dads had street rods. And again, I went to a street rod show that used to be a local club, and they would still have wet t-shirt contests back then too. But like I was, BBT guys, I've known Troy. He was just I grew up, I don't know, hour and 45 minutes from Troy, and I knew him through the mini truck guys because he was building really cool hot rod inspired mini trucks. So I've known him for a long, long time. And I talked to him one time. I stopped by the shop and I was like, man, you got a lot of cool stuff. I mean, they're at the upper level of building all this crazy pro tour stuff. And he's like, man, this was a few years ago. And it's like, we just want to build street rods. I was like, we're never happy with what, they're building street machine of the year and he just wants to build street rods. But I think it's because of that's what a lot of us grew up on. The next generation below us, probably not. But I mean, I pay attention to a lot of like traditional hot rods and they're still younger dudes building, the bias ply tires, flathead cars. But most of them, probably an uncle or dad was into hot rods, which I was lucky my dad was. And probably all you guys, your dad was into cars and stuff too. But I look at it, some of these cars, some of these guys have collected so much, like hoarding all the bodies and stuff. Like in the last 2 months, there's been big collections of stuff being auctioned because their kids don't want them or they don't need 50 bodies. I know a guy in the South that has 3 warehouses full of stuff and has just about every steel body that you could think of and 2 or 3 of every 32, 33, 34 spare fenders and everything, and he won't let anything go. Well, someday that's going to be auctioned off. And I've been to some of them auctions where there's been too many cars that there's not enough people at the auction to buy the cars. So some of them get, the worst shaped cars get re-released back in the wild, being a little more affordable. So that's how I think that the younger guys are getting, I'd still love to have a steel 32. I'd love to have a Willys, I love Fat Fender stuff. I'd love to build a new modern version of the Fat Jack Robinson orange drag car, but street mini tub with big horsepower motor. I would love to build something like that. So
see, I'm the opposite. I think that it's going to come around with some of the bigger cars. I mean, a 33 Buick or some of your Cords or some of that kind of stuff. You do some of those big cars, got a little bit of, I say big for that day.
Length.
Got some length into them. You do a chassis, you do those things where they could go on a tour, on a road trip. You could drive it every day with some, modern suspension, modern motor, and have that long, gotta get a little Gatsby era of kind of like, I've got nice things kind of look to it. And it looks like an old car. But I mean, I just don't see the customer base that's growing that we have of that age saying, you know what, 37 Ford, with some billets on it. I want that.
I see people I follow on Instagram that some people are building street rods with your chassis. Are you guys building much pre-48 stuff?
It's down to like 3740.
Yeah.
You do a few.
You still do a lot of 40 Ford stuff. Yeah.
Nothing pre 35. I mean, we haven't seen that Jerry Kerna's Model A sedan. That I don't know if you saw that car that
Oh, yeah.
Creative,
Creative
built.
built.
That was
Yeah,
the
great car.
last. That's probably the only.
And you guys did the chassis on the last AMBR car too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
But, and that's that one's kind of an anomaly because that's a crazy custom piece. But Jerry's sedan, that's probably the only like 32 chassis that we've done, and man, I'd say the past 6 years. You think?
Yeah, I stopped on tours going to shows. We went to the Lead Sled Spectacular this year, and we stopped at an old school chassis shop, and there was 28 chassis on the downhill swing, and only 5 of them were newer than 1948.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, with the 32 stuff, people like, and we had some comment recently. There's a YouTube video or something that somebody got all pissed off that
Roadster shop doesn't even build a roadster.
But honestly, I mean, you like there's guys out there like Henry from Steadfast. If you're looking for a nice badass sitting 32 chassis,
yeah,
there's some good options out there. I mean, I still love doing them. I like doing some wild custom ones, but for me, man, I'm rooting for hot rods to not come back because I want to be able to buy some really big traditional cars. And I look like every few months I'll jump on like the Ham or eBay, and I keep waiting for those cars to just like the bottom to fall out and they're like to not be buyers anymore. But they still fetch some pretty decent money. You know, they haven't.
Don't you have a Model A for yourself you want to build?
Yeah, I got a Model A coupe. I got a lot of things I want to build for myself, but I got a Model A coupe that I got some big ideas for, more ideas than I do time. But yeah, I love traditional hot rods. Love, Model A's.
I feel completely different about those than I do street rods. Though. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I'm a hot rod guy.
When I say street rods, I just lump that kind of into pre-48, but I know you got the hot rods, your traditional stuff. But so, yeah, I want to build so much stuff. I've got to the age. That's what Phil says. Why you guys wanted to get me on here because I was old and he wanted to get me before I died. He told me that.
There's that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad we made that happen.
But look
I've
at
actually
what.
got a
Look at
a
what.
sign-
This, go ahead.
I've got a dry race thing for work schedule and flow in my hallway, and I actually have cars written down now that things I want to build. And one of those actually got sold to a customer, and my wife never pays attention to that when I'm always talking about getting parts for this at a swap meet or that. And I was like, well, if you pay attention to that sign, my dry race board, it says the cars that I want to build. So yeah, I'm old enough now that I have to make a list because I know we're not going to make them all.
We had a similar dry erase board in Josh's office when he turned 50, and it was
Fuck you. When I turned
number
40.
of days that Josh has extended his life past when he should have died. And every day I would come in and just put another tick on there, and I made it like 3.5 weeks before he realized what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was Josh's extra days of life.
Yeah.
every day's a blessing.
Well, if anybody is a poster child for the sober life, I mean, Tim, at 65 years old to look like you do, that's no smoking, no cigarettes, no drinking. That's.
I mean, fuck, Tim's still riding a BMX bike, aren't you? How old are you, Tim?
I'm 51. I raced 51 and over intermediate at the Grand Nationals in Tulsa the other day. I haven't raced much this year. I did beat somebody, but I didn't beat enough people to make it out of into the main event or the quarters, the eights and all that. Cause there was 957 motos at the Grand Nationals and my wife raced and she hasn't raced much anymore. But behind me here is like our BMX stuff. That jersey there was her Team USA jersey that she got 5th at the World Championships in 2007 in Canada. This is our buddy Corbin that actually officiated his wedding. He's a former world champion and went to the Olympics twice. So yeah, we're BMX. We're all into wish we could do more with her work schedule. We don't get to as many nationals, but last year was the first time in 18 years she didn't end up in the top 10 national of her age group.
No bullshit. I'm not even busting balls. Seriously, at 51 years old, after you race, what does your body feel like after that? Like, I know what I feel like, and I don't race BMX.
Well, not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. A year and a half ago, I hurt my back really bad, and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. So this summer, I raced 3 times as like a check mark to my mental that I can still ride my bike. I need to get back on my bike and probably lose about 40 pounds. From hurting my back. But my knee's usually on fire. The knee that I've had fixed hurts worse than the knee that still needs fixed. The track wasn't as bad as it's normally at the Grands, But yeah, like my parachute comes out down the third straight, dude. It's like I'm done. It's like I tell the guys in my class, if I happen to get a good gate and I get out in front of you, just wait because I'll run out of gas mid-track anymore, dude.
You know, Honda makes ones that are very similar that got suspension and a motor, and you can just...
Yeah, but a lot of my buddies that quit BMX, like 1920, I raced pretty solid until I was 2021. I was state champion when I was 16, and a lot of those guys got into motocross, and like a lot of them spent some time in the hospital because they got that, what do they call that, whiskey throttle?
Whiskey throttle.
Yeah, I would have hurt myself bad on a motorcycle.
Like you stepped on the cat there.
Yeah.
Tim, sitting here talking to Tim and Tim looking at you. I mean, you look fucking great for 51. It puts things in perspective how horrible you're aging, Josh. I mean, at 44, dude, you look like you could be Tim's father. Honest, I mean it in the nicest way.
Yeah, that's how I took it. 100%.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the cigarettes and the whiskey. You think?
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably life choices. I guarantee you it's life choices.
Yeah. Tim's sober, riding a bike.
Just for future reference, if you have to say I mean it in the nicest way, you're saying it the wrong way. If you have to say, hey, I guess what? It's just like saying no offense and then saying something real shitty. It doesn't take it away.
So you got to work on your delivery.
But then all this other stuff that I do, I've got a cracked vertebrae from skateboarding. I've got steel plates, broken bones. So I'm beat up, man. I know when the weather's going to change, and yeah, so it's just
my son's a hardcore skateboarder. We're fresh off of a broken arm, and Sunday we had a concussion, so we're doing good so far.
We had one of our team riders, one of the dads that started racing, crash in the lap 1 at the Grands, break his collarbone, and he's got something that whenever he goes through intense pain, he has a seizure. So he had a seizure, left in the ambulance. Yeah, good time. So luckily, my wife stayed rubber side down all weekend at the Grands.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I tried talking to your kid about skateboarding because I seen you posted about skateboarding, and he looks at you. We was at Columbus, and I kind of forget because we hang out with BMX kids all the time, and I'd rather hang out with BMX and skateboard kids than, normal adults, because that's what we're around all the time. And I kind of forget that I'm big, ugly, and tattooed. And it's like, he kind of looked at you like, Dad, help me.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't say much, but yeah, we were just at a skate competition in DeKalb on Saturday. Yeah, he did a little half pipe deal, placed third.
Sweet.
Congrats.
Yeah,
hey, congrats, Wyatt.
Out of a big group of kids.
We're giving you some time to think. So we're kind of done with the conversation part of it. Now it's time for story time. And if you have a story, we would like to invite you to hang out a little longer to tell story time. If you've got a story.
I could still tell stories for hours, I think. I've got the normal in Vegas, leaving a club, and my wife was driving and hit a curb, and we almost rolled a little SUV, but I think a lot of these people have had them same stories.
Yeah, or fully rolled them.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker had that story. I've rolled one. So.
Yeah, we didn't roll all the way over, but my wife was driving on that one. I got like a cool car story that I did. Then I can tell a SEMA story after that.
Yeah, hit them both.
When I was like 19, my uncle bought his first or second two pair of, he was 49 to 52 Plymouths is what he loved. And his first one, he actually bought through a magazine article through Damon Lee's dad. So the whole tie, like Damon Lee's dad, I met when I was still in high school. So now he's the editor of the Good Guys Gazette. So it's a small world we live in. But we went out to Nebraska to get two of these Plymouths, bought sight unseen. This is before the internet and even the phones or whatever, sending pictures in the mail. So we go out and we're in, it's like a 77 Buick two-door with the big motor in, 455 or whatever, and we're pulling an open trailer. Me, my great uncle, and my cousin. And that's the tow rig. We're going to pick up this Plymouth wagon. So we get out there, get in the one car. My uncle's going to drive it between Christmas and New Year's. No heat all the way back from Nebraska. And northern people, you know how cold that is. We popped tires. We had spare tires. All home. My cousin chewed tobacco, so I don't know why he didn't spit in a cup. He always had to open the door and spit out the door. So this was a hardtop two-door car, and the window mechanism broke so it wouldn't center. So here we are going down the road. Whenever he wanted to spit chewing tobacco, I'd have to reach over, hold the steering wheel. He'd open the door to spit and then wiggle the door to close it, wiggle the glass and close it all at the same time. Well, of course, one time he closes the door and the glass wasn't right. So the glass shatters all over us. So here we're sitting in this car. It's shattered. It's like 12 degrees outside. It's cold as hell. So we stop and get plastic. We cover plastic over the window, and part of the exhaust falls off the tow rig. We're having more trouble with this than my uncle is driving this Plymouth wagon that hasn't moved in 10 years. So the exhaust is coming in the car. We're about gassing ourselves out, but luckily there isn't a window. So we've got like bandanas on our face to try to keep us from gassing out. And long story, we get home, and then he parks that car and never even drove it to work again, that old Buick that he was driving. So they ran street stock cars. He took that motor out and put it stock into his street stock. It was bomber class stock car. He did the first lap he did in heat races, the motor locked up and blew up on him. So if we would have looked like took a tourist drive or scenic drive, that motor would not have made us home. So that's just a normal road trip story when I was like 19 years old, going to get a car, just a bunch of rednecks going down the road with bandanas on their face just so my cousin could spit out the door.
And it's amazing this stuff. Like, if you think about all the stories.
Looking for an Alabama joke, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the stories that, like, the experiences you've had as a result of being in this industry or this hobby. It's crazy. Like, if you weren't a car guy, think about how boring your life would be.
Imagine telling these types of car guy stories or trips or the things that you've done to non-car guy people. They'd look at you like, well, I mean, you drove with the broken glass? I mean, you continued to drive on with it's a broken window.
Your seatpat when you opened the door?
Yeah, what was wrong with the car? I mean, what happened? Why would the exhaust fall off? You know,
Yeah, this was seriously like a $500 car that we were using as a tow rig.
Yeah.
It all makes perfect sense to us. As you're
We're like, yeah, absolutely, makes sense. You're right though. Like this life,
Yeah, well,
dumb things.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like I'm trying to think of like a very boring profession without insulting anybody. To as an example, of what life could be.
What are you worried about insulting? Lawyer, doctor, control.
Yeah, but like a lawyer's probably got good stories. Doctor sees some crazy stuff.
Kind of like surfer, living on couches and all the shit you hear.
Managed IT.
Managed IT. Like, what does that guy say? Other than maybe he uncovered some
logistics.
Right. Yeah.
It's a non-existent profession.
Yeah. All right. What's next? You've got
the SEMA story.
You got the SEMA story.
Okay, so I kind of ran this by somebody.
See if it's okay.
Yeah, we went out one night. It was the night Jesse Greening won the Trendsetter.
When he was just a young pup.
I didn't know Jesse's ever
and it
won
was
anything.
me.
That was pre-facial hair.
Yeah.
It was me and my wife and Zane Cullen from Katati Speed Shop, and he'd won the Trendsetter, so we were all out. Of course, me and Carrie's a designated driver, and Jesse's first wife was with. And I warned Jesse I might tell this story, so I'll censor some of it. But
you don't have
she got so drunk at Palms, they almost didn't let her leave because she thought she had alcohol poisoning, because she probably did. But they're like, you got to answer these questions. It's like, where are you at? And she goes, I'm at SEMA blankety blank. And the guy's like, okay, but what town are you in? And she just go, are you for real? And then they're like, okay, I got to have a simpler question. Who's the president? And she had no idea. And Jesse's like, man, she wouldn't know this if she was sober. So we get in the car, we get him back. We're all staying at the same timeshare on different levels. And me and Carrie, the sober ones, we make sure all the drunk people are getting back to their rooms. Brandy's passed out. He's carrying her. We open their door, and Jesse, like those YouTube videos of a dog trying to run through a door with a stick. Jesse's just going, whack, whack, can't get through the door. And she's just like, she's dead, limp. So we make him turn sideways and get him in and close their door and whatever. I don't know if they just passed out right inside the door or what. the next day she's like, man, I don't know what happened. My neck is killing me. So we just listen to the stories and, she's like apologizing, man, we just don't get drunk like that. And it's like, no, you just don't have a sober couple out with you to, remind you all the stories. Then finally, after a few hours, we told her what Jessie kept ramming her head into the doorway. And, it was weird because that was the last time we seen Brandy. They got a divorce that winter, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or if she really had a neck injury. I don't know. We never seen her after that. But
yeah, Jessie told me a totally different story about that neck injury. But yeah, well,
yeah, that one's gonna get cut out, right? that's for sure. Yeah.
That's good stuff, though. That's funny.
You can take them out of the
cool. The
trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out of them.
Where we live here, we kind of moved to Tennessee. We keep to ourselves. My building's locked up. There's not a sign on the building, and we really don't know any local people. But all the people we hang out with are either at the BMX races or the car shows. That's where our friends are. So it's it's pretty rad. I've been to a Social Distortion concert with Jesse before, and Zane, and my buddy Chris Ryan. And it's just pretty cool that we all are in the same industry, but we can all still get along. Like Chris Ryan was saying at SEMA, there's not really a lot of assholes and backstabbers in this business. And I was like, well, there are, we just don't hang out with those people. So it is a pretty rad group of people that we get to associate ourselves with. I don't think anybody's really getting rich unless you have a chassis shop that you're selling hundreds of chassis every month. But
yeah, but then if you also have a hot rod shop, you can lose it all over there, so you're good.
Yeah.
So nobody's rich.
We get to do some cool stuff, and we got cool stories, and this hot rod world. And I've done TV. I wasn't really looking to do TV. We still got some other stuff on the table, but it seriously got me to go almost around the world in different countries, and got me free cruise ships that we did with charities for America's Vet Dogs, and me and Von Hot Rod hosted it, with the charity auctions we did that for 5 years. We've been to Mexico, to the Caribbean, all because of building hot rods. It's pretty crazy when you think about the things we get to do because of playing with people's money and building them toys.
You keep on talking, that gong's going to go off here in a minute.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now it really is wild, though. That is the coolest thing about the industry, and that's the thing you never thought of getting into this industry. All you wanted to do is build hot rods, but the experiences.
Oh yeah,
it's unreal. The memories, the experiences, it's just wild.
Yeah. Okay, I have a Chicago hot rod question for you boys.
Yeah.
I can, we live about 2.5 hours out of Chicago. My dad always built hot rods. Mr. Roadster moved to Rock Island, Illinois for a while, so we'd buy parts there. But every once in a while, we'd go up to Chicago when I was a little kid. Between 7 and 11 years old, I remember one time going to the Roadster shop. I remember going to Dyer's Superchargers, but I cannot remember where we were, but I know it was in Chicago suburbs, that we were in a shop. And, I'm just a little nugget, little grommet hanging out with my dad, been looking at the cars. And all of a sudden, the guy whose ever shop this was said, "Your son don't see my watchdog." I was like, "Watchdog?" He goes, "Yeah, it's up there on the heater." The dude had a python in his shop, and it would crawl around the shop, and it was on the heater duct.
What the fuck?
And I got the hell out of there. But I always ask Chicago hot rod people that someday I'm going to fight. You guys don't know the shop.
No, dude, I never. Yeah, I don't fuck with snakes. That's
yeah. It was some place that had a snake in their shop. I don't know if it was Dyer's, or I guess it wouldn't have been the hot rod, the Roadster shop. But
you don't have.
Then again,
you had back in that era, there were very few shops. You had the Roadster shop. You had Hopperstad's. You had Getz's Hot Rods was back then. Midwest Hot Rods.
What's the one that's still up there that Donnie bought?
Frame Up.
Yeah, Frame Up Wheelworks.
Frame Up, yeah.
But he's up in our area now. He's north of us. So if you were in Chicago, that's way north of Chicago. But I don't think Donnie's got any fucking pythons.
I'm gonna piss off. We only have like 7 or 8 listeners, so there's got to be 1 or 2 of them that are snake lovers. Anybody that's fucking around with a snake as a pet, you've got other things going on in your life you need to address. Because I'm telling you what, there's all kinds of pets that you could have. There's weirdo pets that you could have. All kinds of weird pets above a snake. Snakes are not meant to be pets. Do you concur? I mean,
I agree.
there's no reason in it.
Anything that doesn't have hair, like fur.
I'd honestly be fine with a lizard if that's your thing. If you've just got to have like, you've got to be like the one that's the weirdo, you know. You're like, oh, look, I'm into weird shit, you know? That's fine. Have a lizard.
Ted Nugent.
If you, Ted Nugent, have a lizard, have a giant lizard, call him Ted Nugent, let him run around the house and stuff. But that's, a snake has no business.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the home.
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm that's something that's.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. I mean, that's something that had to be said.
Well, probably not. Probably not. But I said it. Tim, it's been great.
Yeah, been awesome.
I appreciate you hanging around for story time. Hope maybe
I didn't take my stuff out of my pocket.
Oh, yeah, you got a pocket dump.
Well,
That thing, Josh,
okay.
getting ahead of
I think we
yourself
got
over
to
here.
circle
That
back
was-
on the gas thing. We didn't really go through that either.
Yeah, we did. You just weren't
Rob Ida.
paying attention.
All right. I thought that was like a precursor to we're going to talk about
Well,
that.
we could talk about Rob more. I could talk about Rob Ida all night. He just
We can talk about Rob Ida. Let's talk more about Rob Ida.
Oh, Tim dump his pockets
Oh,
first.
well, Tim, what do you got in your pockets?
Okay, so I just came home from work, so I didn't prep myself. So I just have.
Bullshit.
I didn't really. Since all the body work, I always have my blue snot rag in my pocket. I got my truck keys, my blow nozzle,
The old blow nozzle.
my shop keys, which has a kicker car audio thing on it.
Was
I
that
got-
was that a wristband for a kicker party back in the day?
No, that was not, but those were awesome, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
I got some good stories from the kicker parties back in the day. Pinky is so tight. He gave me a free Pinky's Rod Shop keychain at the Roadster Show one year, so I carry that, which I like to call him the White Urkel. If you've ever seen his first Riddler winning picture on his office wall, he's the White Urkel. And then I have this new thing. It's a Boyd's billet keychain from the party that they did at the Hard Rock when they did the billet guitar years ago.
Oh wow, little piece of memorabilia.
Finally, somebody that's actually got something in their pockets.
Some cool shit. He's got he wears cargo, so he's got a shit ton
I
of
have
pockets.
one of my Gap It tools because I was
nice.
adjusting a fender today that I sell. I guess I still have a little sanding block. I have a Sharpie. It is a chewed on Sharpie because that's how I keep it when I'm doing stuff. And then sometimes I come home and my wife just laughs at me because I've missed the cap and I got marker all over my face. I carry that. That's
that
my
a-
money clip.
Is that a Ridge wallet, like a carbon Ridge wallet?
I had a Ridge one, but this is the copy of the Ridge that is the carbon one.
Nice.
I realized I carried so much crap in my wallet that I was hurting my back. And then I carry a second one for business cards. And then I have, it's a royal purple knife. I don't have expensive knives, but this is imported because it was made in China. So that makes it better, right? If it's imported.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well, if you're still doing body work by yourself, you don't want
a nice
knife because like a body work knife,
That's a multi-purpose
Yeah.
tool.
yeah, you pick with that thing. There's nothing like
Opening
dissecting
cans.
a fucked up paint job or old body work.
That metal looks pitted.
Yeah.
It sure is.
There
I
goes
remember
the
when I worked at the
travel.
last Chevy dealership. Of course, the Snap-on truck come, so I get these little lock blade Kershaws. They were rubber, and I replaced it enough because of both the Kershaw warranty and the Snap-on warranty of always digging and breaking the tip off. I think I went through 12 replacement knives before they finally says you can't get another one anymore.
Yeah, the guys
Find
used
a
to do
new
that
Snap-on
with the
guy.
Snap-on guy.
Yeah, stop doing whatever you're doing. You're no more for you.
Well, we were meaning to talk to you about because I've seen that Gap tool. I've seen it on your social media. We're friends on Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz. That is a handy little tool, and you have those available. How can a guy get some of those?
You go on our website, strangemotion.com, and click the shop button, and then they're on there. So yeah, we get them 3D printed. I've never done the investment to get them like plastic injection molded, but they're pretty tough. They've got 8-inch 3/16, quarter, and 5/16, and we sell a bunch of them, and we've sold them. Christmas time's coming up, so they make great stocking stuffers, and we get shops they'll just order up for everybody in the shop. So it's something that was like my COVID project of not going to as many events and I've always wanted to make them, and I worked with one of your past guests, Dom Tucci, actually helped me. I sent him old school wood thing, and he did the CAD thing, and then we get him 3D printed. So yeah, I worked with Dom on that.
Yeah, that's like a must-have for the toolbox. That's the like top left little kind of funky drawer.
Oh, where all your
box where you put the
receipts are.
Yeah.
The major. What's that thing run?
$20, $9 shipping, and you order more than one, there's discounts on there for shipping too.
And lifetime warranty too. That's amazing, Tim, for you to do
really
that.
stand behind the product.
Actually, it's fun. I've only replaced 3, and 2 of them looks like they were run over in transport. And then one guy, I think he used it to pry and broke it, because I've actually broke one doing that, just seeing how hard you got to pry to break them, because they're a measuring device. They're not a pry device. You know, like the snap-on screwdrivers aren't a chisel, but some people still use them that way.
Well, I'm going to say if Tim doesn't see a massive spike in sales on those after this podcast airs, I'm just going to assume that the majority of the listeners poorly gap their vehicles. That they're either
So everybody that listens is a hack. If
we don't see
that.
Yeah, it's either like a 1/4 inch. It's either too big that it's not on that gap tool,
right?
So it should be tighter, or it's inconsistent. So
or they're not paying attention to their gaps.
Right. So buy one.
Or we have 6 listeners.
Well, then
And all 6 of them,
yes,
and all 6 of them may already have them.
it's possible.
Oh,
Outside.
he
Small, it's a small
punched some holes in that theory, didn't he?
Damn it! That's why I'm not a salesman.
Hey, if you wouldn't mind, we do a segment called On the Gas, but we thought that it would be great to keep you on and you potentially submit somebody for On the Gas. If you've got somebody that you think is on, I don't know if you listen to the show or understand what On the Gas is.
Yeah, I do listen. Your jingle sucks, though.
Yes.
And, we was listening in the car the other day, and my wife's like, "What the hell is wrong with these guys?" I was like, "I just think they ate a lot of paint chips as a kid."
I mean,
But she knows you guys, so she knows you ain't right anyway. So yeah, the jingle sucks. But anyway,
Damn it!
First review of the jingle, and it goes in my favor.
That really, that's not good. We'll edit this part out.
That's hurtful.
but there's a lot of I listen to your podcasts and try to pick somebody that somebody hasn't already picked. There's a lot of good guys out there doing some stuff, but I think my on the gas guy would be Rob Ida Automotive in New Jersey.
That's a good one. It's a guy that's building some pretty badass stuff, has for a while.
I call him like a legit coach builder. You know, he builds, of course, the fiberglass tuckers, but he'll build a tucker. You know, he did that prototype that they never did, and he's working on the little Tucker Roadster now, and he's working on an electric car. He's doing a Jaguar, and he's got a really cool, I think he's posted a couple teaser pictures of a toy thing that he's working on.
Is that a Shorty Mustang?
That's a Shorty Mustang.
That's the ultimate fucking tie-in right
we
there.
were just talking about but
that car's got some history, actually. That was like a prototype Ford car that he helps put on a cruise in at Asbury Park by where he lives. And they had that there. That was like a Ford concept car that I think you're talking about.
That's the opposite of a Shorty.
Yeah, he's got Rob Ida's got some of the most rad stuff ever. He's one of those Instagram accounts. I've met Rob a few times. He's a super nice dude, very humble. I don't know him well, but it's one of those Instagram accounts that I'm always going to check out because everything he does is just so damn unique. He's like just a wildly interesting guy, and it reflects through what he builds.
When we were doing those charity cruise ship things, we got a week long in the Caribbean on a cruise ship that we'd get about 100 car people. And me and Von Hot Rod were the hosts, and we'd always get to pick somebody. So one year we had Aaron Hagar come, which is Sammy Hagar's son. And so we had Rob Ida come to give seminars about the Tuckers and the things that he was building. So I've known Rob for a long time and spent a week with his 2 daughters and his wife. They're just great humans, great people.
That's what I was trying to find right there. That thing potentially could be the sexiest car ever built.
Oh yeah, it's a car I've always wanted to build.
That thing is fucking awesome. What he's doing with it.
What picture are you looking at?
That's the XKE.
Yeah, we're looking at the Jag side profile of the Jag.
Yeah, he's building that for Marcy, that owns one of the owners of Hop Up Magazine. That's who owns that.
That thing is just
it's one of the sexiest cars ever made. But the roofline, I don't care what you say. The roofline sucks.
Yeah,
like from the factory.
Yeah, and not what Rob's done.
That's going to be rad, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that done. But everything he does is wild.
It is.
Super eclectic, like all different styles, but everything has got like that just legitimately cool look to it, whether it's vintage road race or the Tuckers or some gasser stuff, or did a badass early 70s Porsche, I believe. But just everything's got a cool style.
Orange Willys. I think he's going to bring that Orange Willys back to Columbus next year, 23. So he said that'll be the 25th anniversary since he debuted that top Orange Willie.
Cool. I feel, he's just, like you said, eclectic is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
I love that vet go back. He did
I did.
Yeah, the vet's right up your alley. I know you've been wanting to do one of those forever.
Kind of all sheet metal cockpit enclosure around a early 50s vet, like kind of road race inspired. All cool vintage hand painted graphics.
We're just we are fanboying out.
Just got cool ass style
over Rob Ida.
Keep going, keep scrolling. Top.
You know, I think I'm the most impressed with the brothers there at the Roadster shop that they figured out that they could hire Josh and get a government check for him.
Yeah, it's
a solid tax credit.
It is.
Yeah.
Who's getting a check?
Nobody.
Nope.
You're doing a good job, pal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking dickheads. Honestly.
Lie. But yeah, this thing's just badass. I saw that a while ago, and when he was building it, doing all the metal or the sheet metal work on it.
What? What's so funny?
Nothing. It's a badass car.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob looks like he's got it going on. We'd love to have him on the podcast. I met him, like I said, several times. I don't know him well, but I feel like Rob's probably got some crazy stories. A lot of heritage. He's got, from what I know, like the family background. There's some cool shit going on.
There's some cool shit.
His grandpa actually bought one of the Tucker dealership back when Tuckers were first trying to be sold. So that's why his history tie. He was on when we built a custom Hudson on the Search and Restore show. He came and he brought Preston Tucker's great grandsons or great grandsons. They're twins and work in the automotive industry, and then they help Rob on a bunch of stuff, especially when he's doing the Tucker stuff. So there's a lot of Tucker history there in the family. Really cool.
What are you giggling
You're thinking about
over
Preston Tucker, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking I don't want to disparage Rob. That thing's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But I can't help but think about a golden doodle right here, and then that's what Phil thinks he looks like in the drop top. That's all I can see is Phil.
Yeah, except it's not like a super bitchin' C1 custom Corvette. It's a fucking Miata.
Yeah, I know.
With a golden doodle.
But I'm what he's thinking
you're
he's
right.
looking like in his head.
Yep.
No,
Apologize.
not at all.
Yeah. Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Well, check out Rob Ida at Rob Ida on Instagram. Some badass shit. He's always, like you said, eclectic is the best way to do it. He's the type of guy that you hang out with and he's got jeans on that you're like, where'd you get those jeans?
Really? That's where you're going with that, huh?
People understand that.
Yeah, I think
people will get that. You get that, don't you, Tim?
Yeah, I've got a jean story for the Roadster Shop boys.
Fire away.
Yeah, we need to get into
I remember
that.
back, it was like one of the first, my wife used to work for another chassis company, and we were at, what's the Kalamazoo, Michigan NSRA show. It was
That's
like
actually a good one.
Yeah.
one of the first years that I remember you guys out doing events was shortly. It was before you did the green Chevelle. I know that because you were touring.
Yeah, this was early.
This is
early.
hot rod days.
This was like 2004, 2003, something like that. Right?
You had that two-tone, was it a 33 with the chrome down the side?
Yeah, 32 Roadster.
Okay. And we were staying at the same hotel, and we come in the next day, and you guys were like almost crying at the front desk of the hotel. And they had cleaned your room and took everything. Your clothes, your toothbrush, everything was gone, and you guys had to go buy more stuff.
I've heard this.
And that was before they started selling bedazzled jeans in Kalamazoo, so it was hard for them to get replacements.
Mr. Gerber was
That's just
unhappy.
Dude, this is a great story because it goes beyond what you even know. I learned like a valuable life lesson in how little shit you should take from anybody in your life. So you witnessed the stealing of the clothes. So we had, it wasn't everything. They picked and choose what they wanted to steal. They stole like
jeans,
shoes,
shirts,
socks. Yeah. Like,
you got your socks.
Yeah, I got my fucking socks stolen, right? So I'm like, what the fuck? We go to the front desk. My dad comes down and he's like, what's going on? So we tell him what's going on. He's like, you fucking kidding me? No, seriously. So he says something to the lady at the front desk and he didn't like what they said. So he said, where's the manager? Well, the manager had like a nice little office, a desk and everything like behind the front counter. Nice little isolated private desk. So we go back in there and my dad's telling this guy what happened, right? And the guy says, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I could do. It sounds like that's your problem. That didn't sit well with him. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, it's our problem. Let's go. We're gonna let's go fill it.
You didn't even think. Your mind didn't go where his mind went.
It didn't. Where his mind went is that he cleared everything off the guy's desk and grabbed the guy by the throat and pulled him across the desk and proceeded to tell him, you find the fucking jeans or I'm going to rip your fucking head off, was basically what he said. And I'm like, oh, so that kind of clicked. That stuck with me. I'm like, okay.
In your head, are you thinking maybe we might get our jeans?
Yeah. But yeah, it was alarming, but that was how he handled things that when he was wronged,
Turned out it wasn't his problem.
No.
It became his problem.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool, but yeah.
That's funny. That's actually probably the best story. I've heard that.
Yeah, you've never seen like a hotel manager getting pulled across his desk after it's been cleared. It's pretty cool to see.
I've seen Phil do it close to about 3 or 4 times on the trip.
Must be where he gets it from.
Yeah, it's stuck.
The fuck did you say?
Huh?
Yeah, we'll get into that one of these
Yeah,
days.
that'll be a story for a later time.
That was last season.
Was it? We tell the
It
story?
will be the last season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're getting tired of doing it anyway, aren't we?
Fuck it.
Tim, I appreciate it. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
been a fun time.
I appreciate it. Some of you guys have been doing them quick shots. We're not doing them. That cracked me up when I listened to Rick Loves when you guys guessed that he was a corgi shower.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Because I've got one. When we got into this, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I think like I had a hunch about what might be maybe not your daily driver, but like a shop vehicle. And it's pretty good.
Yeah, so I say what my daily driver is. Is that what we're doing?
We guess.
No, I mean,
the whole premise. Excuse me. So the whole premise with taking shots is we take a shot, right? And we say we might pick out. It's a story. We might say this is what you drive. This is music you listen to. This is a hobby you're into. This is something you wear. It's going to more than likely be true. We might ask you the question and you're going to say it. We might not like that answer. And then we'll give our own answer. That's just kind of the way it is. It's really just an excuse for us to take a shot, literally and figuratively.
Watch it. I just listen to it when I'm working, so I didn't know you guys were actually taking shots when you're doing that. It makes sense. But, I don't drink because I'm an idiot, so I don't know.
So I started thinking, I know you fairly well, Tim, but I know you a lot better now after this.
First off, you got to ask him what it is, and then you got to tell yours, because you might have a good shot at nailing it.
Well, I'm going with shop vehicle.
Okay. This is like beater shop vehicle, something to run and get parts with, something like that?
Something like that.
All right.
And what I'm thinking is, you talked a lot about like, I know you've done the dollar car program and stuff, and you've been in the industry for a long time. So I don't know when the dollar car program got started, but what I'm thinking is that probably late 90s, early 2000s, you got yourself a PT Cruiser, right? And this is PT Cruiser before they made the panel. So Tim went ahead and he filled the
back window.
Filled the back windows. And still to this day, does
it have a strange motion logo in the?
It does,
like
but
faded.
But he swears that Mopar, they owe him fucking royalties for
making the panel.
And the reason, but the reason, I mean, it's a perfect vehicle. Like, he's into BMX. You can throw a couple BMX bikes in the back. It's got a little bit of that custom look, a little bit of that hot rod look. It's got moon discs.
You might not even need to take a shot because
it's not over the top, but I think it's a nod to the 54 paint scheme. It's two-tone.
Okay.
It's got the strange motion.
A little airbrush trim on it. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It's a little worn out though. I mean, it's got fucking miles on it. You know, we're talking like a couple hundred miles.
No, you're wrong. But we almost did an HHR panel for SEMA one year. We did a Transit Connect van that was all BMX themed that I drove quite a bit, but we got rid of it. I still have my orange crew cab long bed 1-ton Duramax. That was my last dollar vehicle. That was my daily, but now I drive a super hammered on coilovers 92 OBS as my daily.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
It'll soon be chopped because I've always wanted a chop top daily driver for the hot rod shop. So I'm going to chop my OBS.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. I mean, where you're at, you probably get, I mean, you drive anything year round down there, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, and it's 2 miles to the shop too.
I'm going with hobby. I think that I already know he's into BMX, but I think he's a huge collector. He's a history buff, right? He's big into hot rods. All that's understood. But there's late 80s, early 90s garage punk tapes. He's got a collection of tapes.
Like almost on a sick level. Like,
Hundreds
hoarder
of tapes of all different types. Like you would think of a mixtape. He's got, I mean, and this is all different bands across the country of, ska and like different, that genre of
underground garage stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think Carrie's always on his ass to get rid of them, that it's taken the
these tapes are taken up. Whether you've got the whole guest room is filled with tapes. Come on, Tim, we got to do something. Nobody listens to tapes anymore. I'll pay a guy to download these to CDs. That's my shot.
Okay, now it's my answer. Mm-hmm. Well, no, and that's a sore subject because I loaned him to my punk rock cousin, and he let all of his friends take them. So I did used to have a bunch of cassettes, but I have a shitload of DVD of
CDs.
What's that round? The CDs. But I collect vintage BMX stuff, only a certain brands. I collect car magazines and Hot Wheels. So you were close, but I would still have those cassette tapes if they didn't come up missing. I would have.
It's pretty good, dude.
Said it before, I'll say it again. It's a gift.
So I used to go when I worked.
Look out.
When I worked at the last dealership, there was a record store in town, and it was also the movie rental place and everything. And so I'm a punk rock fan. There's a punk rock band called the Circle Jerks. Have you guys heard the Circle Jerks?
Yeah, of course.
I seen them this summer, actually. And at that time, I wasn't thinking that the cassette, so it was old enough, so it was probably 91, 92. I'd go to this record store every Friday after I got my check and usually buy what was new. And I knew the new Circle Jerks was coming out, and I was waiting for it. Well, this place also rented and sold VHS tapes and rented or sold for viewing at home. Well, I was getting
like the colored VHS
else,
tapes.
And I was walking through the store, and I come from the corner. I wasn't in that room on that trip of the adult stuff, and the guy seems to be coming from that corner, and I asked if the new Circle Jerks was in.
Oh, okay.
So he took it the way dirty, and I was like, no, the band. And he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot there was a band. And next week, he was very excited when he could present me with the cassette tape of the new Circle Jerks album. Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good, Josh.
You got something, Phil?
I don't know if I could stack up to either one of those. I wasn't prepared for this one. I think I'm going to punt.
Okay. I wasn't prepared either. It kind of sometimes comes. You got to still take a shot just because you're here.
So this punt thing,
you've got
a sports analogy to I'm going to do it later.
Tim will allow you to take a shot. You can take one shot. Pick one.
Yeah, you get to pick one of the three of us assholes.
What am I picking? Or just making you guys drink? Or what am I
No,
doing?
you can just pick hobby, vehicle,
I mean, anything.
something.
Yeah.
You can create your alternate story about one of us.
Okay, so I'll take a shot that Phil was a Jeep driving upside down visor guy frat boy in college.
Ooh. Close.
Yes.
You, sir, are correct. That's ding, ding, ding.
I don't know. Do we have a trophy for this? Because it wasn't a Jeep. It was a Bronco, right? But
Close.
yellow Bronco, but 100%. It was Phil had a white worn out Adidas visor.
Yeah.
That he rocked the shit out of it.
And was in a frat.
Oh yeah, in a fraternity with the lanyard. Always with the lanyard. And this was back in the day of the like Abercrombie Adidas warm-up pants too.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't be more happy.
I thought I was
That's fucking awesome.
I thought I brought the heat with the PT Cruiser. That's going to be tough to beat.
I think we need to Tim's going to have to be a special guest on every episode. Oh, it's really good. It's really good.
Amazing.
I was trying to push that memory down, but thanks for bringing it up.
Tim
in
has
his
the gift.
defense, me and my wife just went to a I Love the 90s concert, and she made me wear like neon tracksuit. They're pretty comfortable. They are.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how that's in my defense, but
So, knowing your dad, was your dad ever a tracksuit guy? I don't know why I think to him to be like the business badass that wears a tracksuit everywhere he went for business.
Think of the,
he looked Italian, but he wasn't.
Think of the Marlboro Man, and that's as close as I think you can get to.
I mean,
Sam Elliott.
He was basically a cow. Yeah, Sam Elliott. He was basically a cowboy.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, but that was.
Yeah. Track. You would never see. Would you see a tracksuit on Sam Elliott? No.
Or John Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, it's been awesome. I can't. That's gonna go down. I want that on a fucking loop. Yeah.
Phil hates that that just happened.
I think I'm going to quit the podcast.
Phil hates the podcast.
Tim, you don't know how much joy you have brought us with that.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think we're going to have to call Tim every time we do taking shots. Because he's obviously got the gift.
Yeah, he is gifted.
There's very few that have the gift.
Let's
but
see if
you
you can
obviously
back
did.
it up. Get one of these two assholes. Come on.
Oh, you're trying to. Phil's trying to deflect. It's been a great podcast, Tim. This has been awesome, dude. We look forward to seeing you at the Roadster Show. We'll see you out there.
Or maybe PRI. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Well, most of my good advice always comes from my dad. My dad came from nothing. He was actually left to die in a house when he was 2 years old. He was abandoned, raised in foster homes, in juvenile home, came back, doesn't drink, had awesome kids, of course. My sister's a school counselor, great family man, and built his life up to be 450 acres, 100 head of cattle. He's 73 years old, has had open heart surgery 2 or 3 times, and still runs 100 head of cattle. And he always told me, always work harder than the next guy. That's the only way somebody can be better than you in life, if they outwork you. And remember, a half a day of work is still a 12-hour day.
That's really good.
That's about as good as it gets right there, man. That is solid. I mean, I had similar advice from my old man that, always outwork the guy next to you.
There's always going to be somebody smarter. There's always going to be somebody that has a better idea. There's always going to be somebody that's got a different angle. But like you said, you can't be beat by somebody. You won't let somebody beat you by outworking you. So just outwork them.
After growing up, going into business, getting to the level that you're at, do you feel like that is the same advice that you would give somebody today? Or do you think, what would you tell a guy, whether it's a kid, an aspiring hot rod builder, just a young BMX guy, what advice do you have to share with somebody?
Yeah, that same thing. I mean, you can teach skill, but it's hard to teach work ethic. That's probably why I don't have a full-time employee. One, my wife says I'm kind of an asshole to work with. But, my dad once, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I was helping him on the farm because I had a summer job from the time I was about 8 or 9 years old. I'd drive my 3-wheeler 10 miles to a farmer to bale hay just because I knew you had to make money. and I was talking about something we were going to do on the weekend in, working on our 55 Chevy that we had or whatever. And he stopped and he goes, remember, I'm 8 or 9 years old. He goes, son, if you can think about something other than the work you're doing right now, that means you're not working hard enough. My dad's still my best friend and we get along great, but you just concentrated on your work. And I do get kids every once in a while, from being on TV, you get emails and young builders coming up and asking me questions and how to get your name out there. And as I always tell people, when I was younger, I built a car for myself. I do like a budget year of what events I wanted to go to, how many events that I could actually afford to go to get my name out there. And I'd go to 5 more that I couldn't afford to go to. That's how hard you have to work in this industry to get your name out there. I mean, there was times we slept in our tow vehicle. We ate peanut butter sandwiches because we couldn't afford the hotel, but we had our car at the car show. So, just get your name out there. If you're trying to build your business, do whatever you can. So, I mean, we built a lot of cheap cars for ourselves that just had the right look to get in the magazines. Back then in the day, the magazines I still think it's cool to be in the magazines. You can go to Street Machine Nationals, get 2 or 3 photo shoots and end up in 8 features around the whole world because there were photographers and everything there. But I had actually Bill Posey came up to me. He goes, dude, I was at a thing where you were doing a speaking engagement one time and you said that about as many of us you could notify that I did before I had to. So I can't believe anybody actually listened to me.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, at your age to have your dad still with you and have such a unbelievable, impressionable guy like that, that's pretty rad, dude. And that's solid advice. Solid advice to young guys coming up. I mean, you've obviously got a tremendous amount of grit and determination. I mean, I've always admired the volume of what you've put out, knowing that for the most part, I mean, you've been pretty much a one-man band. I mean, like you said, you've had help along the way, but that doesn't come easy, so that's good advice for guys coming up in the hot rod industry. So for those guys listening,
keep grinding.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I think we've checked all the boxes now. That's
Yep.
That pretty much hits it, dude. So appreciate you coming on.
And Joss is back from the bathroom.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I was about to die.
He is here. It's an old bladder, weak prostate. It's
we're gonna get you some of those Depends. Start wearing those during the shows.
So
it only gets worse.
When Tim, when are you going out to PRI? You gonna be there all week, all weekend?
We'll just drive up and go Thursday and Friday, and then we come back because my wife has to go to this big Christmas parade in Leapers Fork. That's a little crazy. So this Christmas parade is had in a town of like 500 people. One year, Kid Rock was the Grand Marshal with Loretta Lynn riding in a convertible. One year they had John Schneider riding on the hood of a General Lee. So it's like a 2.5-hour Christmas parade in this small town by Nashville. It's pretty awesome. So we come back for that. And you can't walk through PRI hardly at Saturday anyway.
Dude, that's my buddy, great buddy of mine. He lives like literally 5 minutes from Leapers Fork. We go down once a year over the 4th of July weekend. That is like the most badass place in the United States, I think. Leapers Fork.
Yeah, there's a lot of
it is super cool. But
Hollywood and musician people that have like second or third homes there too. So,
but you know what they did? The first time I went there, they had a General Lee and something else. I think like Roscoe P. Coltrane's and then they
or Boss
the
Hogs.
guy. It was the
they pulled him.
Andy Griffith.
Oh, was that what it was? They had but they had the 2 cars sitting there right outside of some dude's like farm field.
And then on the other end of town is a cop car from Smoking the Bandit on the other end of town.
But somebody
complained?
Yeah.
Someone from California moved there.
Somebody made a fuss, and now there's no more General Lee there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What has the world come to?
Well, it's come to the time that I need to go home.
Well,
get some dinner.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
It's been awesome.
Been good hanging out, dude.
I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here. I'm glad I didn't pass away before Phil got got me on here, and it's a great group. I listen to it, so it's honored to be on the list of people that's been on here. So.
Absolutely, dude.
Appreciate it, man. It was awesome.
And now I know Bill was a frat boy.
Oh yeah.
I'll send you some pictures.
And if he doesn't, I absolutely will. All right, dude.
See you soon.
See you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Later, bud.
Thanks. All right. Big thanks again to Tim Strange. Remember, you can learn more about Tim by checking out his Instagram at rodbuilder or by going to strangemotion.com. That was actually a really good one.
I want to hear about his knife. I feel like it's super exciting.
No, I don't think we need to talk about it.
No?
Or-
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, oh no, we totally should. Because this is fucking awesome. Yeah. And we absolutely
So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in Glovebox. Is what you're
We're
saying?
going to do his glove
Yeah, we're just
box.
gonna do my.
All right,
we're
all right.
just gonna do my knife.
Everybody that's still here listening.
Yeah.
Everybody, stop what you're doing.
Jeremy has a new knife.
It's time for In the Glove Box special edition with Jeremy. What's in his pocket?
That's it. And we're just gonna do pocket, not pockets, because all I really care about is this.
Wow, that's
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's fucking awesome, right? Check it out.
holy shit.
I thought we talked about your neon colors.
We did. So I've realized. I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking this is a midlife crisis thing.
I think it's your son's knife.
He wants it.
I'm sure
That
he does.
is that is fucking awesome.
Do you see what's?
I see that. That's the Roadster Shop logo. That's gonna be hard to see.
It is hard to see. Yeah, you
It's
get.
the 80s Roadster Shop logo.
Yeah.
That's the
I believe that's
OBS.
only available on a tank top, is it not?
On the tank top, and we planted on the OBS valve covers.
Is this a gift or is this your purchase?
No, I purchased that.
You did.
It was a
didn't
little
you?
impulse buy.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, not a little. That was an impulse.
planning.
Yeah, that was. You spent.
Several dollars.
Well, no, I don't care about the money. You spent significant time on the internet, which is also
Dude, no.
electronic.
So here's what I didn't know.
Impressive. Super impressive.
I didn't because
How did you upload an image?
I can do things like that.
I doubt that.
Oh, 100% I can.
You had Chris do it, didn't you?
So I spent little time, believe it or not, Josh, because what happens is that I get on like Blade HQ and I find all these different knives and I start putting them, I start putting them in the
shopping cart. And do nothing with
them. And I find that and I want Damascus and then I want Damascus and then I want a Tonto and then I want a cleaver and I want this and I want that. And I psych myself out,
Mm-hmm.
This one I went into and I'm like, I'm buying this. So I'm not going to over scrutinize it. But what I did, so there's a lot you can look at because when you close it, you see how the Roadster Shop logo doesn't protrude from the blade?
Yeah.
That takes some time. That doesn't happen by accident, right? All right. So I went through that all, got it all done, put it in the shopping cart, and what happens? Fucking disappears from the shopping cart.
No way.
Nowhere to be found.
You're telling me technology and you didn't see eye to eye.
So I did it. So I did it again.
How many times did you do it?
It only took twice. So the second time I'm like, bam, 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 bam. And then I sat there and I'm like, I'm going back and forth over this little knob here. I'm like pink, blue. I'm like, you know what, dude? Make a fucking decision.
Dude, that's a lot of decisions.
Yeah. Make a decision. And I just pulled the trigger and that's what we got.
So blue.
Yeah.
You went with blue.
I did.
As you can see with said example.
So what do you guys think?
I like the blue. I like the, is it a Bengal tiger theme?
It's tiger theme.
I don't like the inspiration for the tiger theme, but I like the tiger theme.
No, yeah, it was like Def Leppard is what kind of inspired me for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool for you.
I don't want
Thanks.
it. I don't.
You can.
I hate to.
You can give me a win.
You get a win for it.
Thank you.
It's cool. All I see if Tommy Lee back in the day were to design a knife, that would be the knife.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
This would be.
that's the kind of shit I do. Honestly, and it's what is it? Wednesday, Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? This is the
Today's-
beginning of the
We're
week.
not even halfway through
Yeah.
the week.
Who knows
He's pulling
what-
this shit
yeah.
out.
But you
Who
didn't
knows
do
what's gonna happen?
You didn't do that today.
Come Friday, dude, we have no idea what kind of other cool shit I'm gonna do.
Hey,
But it's cool. But honestly,
Yeah,
The knife's all right.
hey, hats off to you.
Okay, I'm just saying, the design we know clearly is awesome, but the knife itself, it's, that Benchmade bug out.
Yeah, it's a great one.
It's got to be one of the better carries. Slim, lightweight. This is the one that you've got your custom scales, right? Right. Great knife.
You've been taking humble lessons from Josh, haven't you?
I don't know. What do you mean by
Both
that?
of you are speechless.
What do you mean by that?
He honestly has.
Amongst other lessons.
What other lessons?
A win's a win.
Yeah. No,
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
I couldn't carry it, but I appreciate it.
Tuck that back away. All right, moving on.
kick ass.
Thanks.
Yep.
I think we have a winner. We can move past this now. I think we
Can we just review the whiskey?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's
Josh.
kind of where we'd like to go. So
Do you think anybody seriously listens to this at this
at
point?
this point,
No.
no.
Just agreeing with you guys. For
Well,
once.
I say no, but there's like the ratings say otherwise.
Well, speaking of ratings, why don't you rate that fucking whiskey, Josh?
Oh, this whiskey, the Hancock's President Reserve, super rare. You don't find it hardly anywhere. Very difficult. It's a Buffalo Trace.
I was actually surprised to see that. I did not know that.
Not either. So right there on the back.
Right there. Yeah. 88.9. I would personally rate this right with Blanton's. I think it's that good. And I think it's like flavor profile. I mean, makes sense. It's a single barrel from Buffalo Trace. A little bit lower proof. I liked it. We could have kept drinking. I'm giving it, I don't even know what I gave Blanton's, but I'm going to give this an 8.3.
That's pretty good.
Seems high.
No,
I didn't know it was Buffalo Trace. I was going to go Blanton's a little bit above this. I like Blanton's and Elmer T. Lee a little bit more. Probably have to do them a little back to back for a more real time comparison.
Probably. I mean, this is
But
6 drinks in and we're drunk giving a review.
yeah, whatever I gave Blanton's a 0.2 below that. It's a review. It's a fucking review.
It's a
Let's see.
review. I think
Minus 2, minus 0.2 from
that
Blanton's.
that's a good call bringing up the Elmer T. Lee and Blanton's because I feel like that's the group that fits in.
Yeah, that and the Rock Hill Farms throw that in the mix too.
That's right there. To be honest with
I think
you,
the Rock Hill Farms is on the top of all those myself, but
it
Single barrel round robin.
yeah, it
we should
probably
do
is. I love Blanton's. I mean, Blanton. Here's the thing with Blanton's: take it out of the beautiful bottle.
It's a solid ass bottle.
It's probably one of the best bottles, right? Take it out of that bottle and put it in like, I don't know. Put it in the
paper cup.
yeah. Put it in a paper cup, a solo cup. Have it bleeding through a little bit. It's great, it's good. But I honestly, I would put that just a tick above Blanton's.
So you're going 0.2 above.
We always
going the
say
opposite.
that, but when you go back to Blanton's, it's always like, oh shit.
I'm going the opposite direction. I do love Blanton's. I have nothing negative to say about it, but I feel like it's a little bit hotter.
So you're gonna give it a 0.2 above Blanton's?
Yes, it's a smoother drinker. And if I had to guess, I don't know where or if we've rated Blanton's, but I'm going to put that at a 8.0. And maybe I could.
Josh is going to go tail the tape. I don't think we reviewed Blanton's.
We may not have, because Josh doesn't do a great job of.
Every whiskey that we've actually reviewed is on here.
He takes this personally.
So don't say it's not. Let's see. Blanton's right there on Joe Martin's podcast. We gave that across the board. Phil, 8.5. Jeremy, 8.5. Josh, 8.5. All right. And I gave this an 8.3. Phil gave this a 0.2 below Blanton's, which would be an 8.3. And you gave it 0.2 above, which would be an 8.7.
Yeah, but
It's a healthy.
I ranked it below with my rating. This just totally discredits our rating system, which means we're going to have to edit this out. Because I said it's 0.2 above, but then I went ahead and gave it a rating of an 8.0.
Well, they just take that out. You're giving this an 8.7?
That's a fucking.
That's a
ripper
huge,
review.
dude. That's a huge fucking review.
Yeah, it would be
I think this goes to prove that we're generally pretty drunk during the review process, and I wouldn't.
No, you gave an Old Forester a 9.1.
Yeah, it's birthday bourbon.
Yeah, that's a fucking.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying that's your highest. You've never gave anything that high.
If even the Ironclad guys are listening at this point,
You gave Elmer T. Lee 8.75.
okay. So I'm going to put this
Rock Hill Farms an 8.6.
Okay, so-
I'm not confused. I'm just saying everything we talked about were right there.
I'm going to put this right there in the middle then. I'm going to go a point over the Blantons. I'm going to go an 8.6 because it's not the Rock Hill Farms. And for me, it's just a little bit better than the Blantons.
It's a little bit more available too, according to Josh.
Right. Yeah, I think you can get it at Target, can't you? Is this... you get that at Target? Yeah.
I think that our reviews actually hold up.
Yeah.
If you look at all of the numbers,
Yeah.
Sometimes we need a little refresher because, it's been a little while since we've gone into that. So knowing where the Blantons
you're talking
reviewed...
50 fucking something episodes.
I've
But
done that many.
yeah, it's been a lot. But I mean, even blind before seeing this, what we were talking about within 0.2 here or there, plus or minus, we're right where we talked about being. We're
I
not.
think we got lucky.
No, we're not fucking stupid. It's funny how I was right on.
I would...
We'll give you the win on that.
If you can find that, which Josh can, and nobody else can, absolutely.
I gave you the win before you cut your
Right.
fucking legs
I know.
from underneath you.
Absolutely buy that. I don't know where you would get it. I'll continue to look for it because I do not have that in my home collection. We have it here in the podcast studio. I really liked it, and I like that 88.9 proof to mix it up. It's not that I'm like a low proof guy, but every once in a while it's just a little smoother to drink.
You can taste more of the bourbon when you get a little less of the proof.
Less burn.
A little less burn.
So once again, another fabulous bottle that came from our buddy Dave Garfield.
Yep. To Sean and Gareth that are still listening right now.
Dave is always hooking it up with the good juice.
Garfield's Beverage.
Warehouse.
And
I'm not doing it anymore. I'm tired of
Have
getting
you moved past it?
somebody knows
I'm
it's
thinking,
bourbon season.
so
and thinks he's
I don't
going
know.
to get on the good
I don't
list.
know. I don't think this may or may not air before Christmas, but Dave is deserving of a limited edition T-shirt that is a Garfield's Beverage Emporium T-shirt.
Oh, yes, he is.
100%.
Yeah. You think he likes the Emporium thing?
He should. It's a solid ass name.
It's a great name.
Like the next location he opens should be the Emporium.
Yeah, the Emporium. It's Garfield's The Emporium. There's only one The Emporium.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you. You're welcome, Dave.
Little nod of Days of Confused there too.
That's
Yeah.
right. But thanks, Dave, for hooking it up with.
As always,
Suburban Man.
Dave's the man. All right. Thanks again for everybody. Well, Gareth and Sean. I'm telling you, seriously. You know Gareth?
His buddy Sean? I know Sean. I
Yeah,
don't know about
Sean.
Gareth.
Oh, Gareth is a new guy. He texts like a lot. He's a huge fan. North Dakota. If you like the show, be sure to leave a rating review. There's a reason. We talked about that, I don't know, an hour ago. Thanks again to our guest, Tim Strange. We'll see you again next week.